What's going on, y'all? Hope you're having a good day. Hope you had a good night. Hope you're having a good week. I want to talk about two things today for a little bit, and then we'll just chop it up and have fun together. First one is about Kim Jong Un. Hold on, sorry, I got to turn off the back play. First one's about Kim Jong Un. Trump and Kim Jong Un, they're meeting in Vietnam, and the media is kind of sparking around it. I know Trump is talking about denuclearization. Kim Jong Un apparently hasn't done so. So we're going to talk about something that most people aren't talking about, that why Kim Jong Un doesn't want to denuclearize, why he's not necessarily wrong when you look at history, and what a pickle that we're in. Although I'm very optimistic, it's been a lot of progress, and the media doesn't like that. They used North Korea for about a decade as a fear tactic, pickle that we're in, to spread fear and you know division in that sense. And then the second one I want to talk about is the moon. The moon's back in it doesn't have to do with Kim Jong Un. I just thought that was a funny title. Um, the moon is back in the news like crazy this week. Two stories that are very interesting to me that I want to talk about. One is according to mainstream media, China grows a plant on the moon for the first time ever. So China's claiming that they grew a plant on the moon, and it's already died. And we'll talk about that. And also, it's coming out that the moon is inside of the Earth's atmosphere. European researchers say that's also breaking a lot of scientific media, that the moon is actually potentially inside of the Earth's atmosphere, which would not surprise me a bit. We're going to talk a little bit about that because everybody's in for a shock. Let's just put it that way. They said the science was settled. Science doesn't settle, and we talked about that last live stream. We talked about how the science of humanity and when humans are the first human fossils we had, that changed within 100,000 years. Every new discovery, science shifts a little bit with more understanding. So science evolves and we grow and we learn more. I'm not so sure about settling or denying. It's more like theorizing. They frame scientific conversations to be like, there's no way you could possibly disagree with us. But when it comes to the moon, we're going to talk about it today, as I like to. A lot of stuff's not adding up, and the fact it's inside the Earth's atmosphere should be a little bit of a shocker if that becomes true to a lot of people that are really attached to the current moon narrative. Infowars Bear said your political game is lit. Thank you, Infowars Bear. You're a star. Julie Lewis, thank you. Appreciate you. We got Infowars Bear said, look at David Wilcock, Devin Cosmos. I've seen a little bit of David Wilcock. I don't know about Devin Cosmos. I'll look into it. Let's see what the comments are saying. I'll give you guys some love, and we'll wait like a minute for people to get in, and then we'll start. Let's see. We got Cold as Ice Bear said, live in a dome. We got Stephanie said, China is a lie. Riddy Rajput said, La Luna. Panda Power said, Bernie for Hospice 2020. Y'all are wildin'. Made in USA Reviews. God bless. Julie said, hey, am I finally catching you live? Yeah, you made it. Here we are. You made me live. Woolongs, Houston, Texas in the house. Yes, sir. Dan Kudelik said, what's the news with flooding in Cali? I'm not so sure. They dropped like a big bombshell. They said, guys, there's going to be a biblical flood in California, and it's going to flood like 1 million people out of their home. And then they didn't really follow up on it. So I don't know. They didn't say when that's going to happen. They just said that California's going to get flooded. And living in California, I don't want that to happen, but I'm just going to say, we're going to find out very, 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 very soon that we don't really control the planet. A lot of people are playing God on this planet, and they think that they're God and they think that they control everything. But I'm going to read one of my tweets from earlier. I'll read two of them, actually. I said they lied about the moon. This is just if this becomes true with the Earth's atmosphere, that's a whole different understanding of the moon. I said the sun controls the temperature of the planet. Most of the oceans are unexplored, unobserved, and unmapped. True. There are active volcanoes under some melting ice glaciers. True. The whole science is settled narrative is a lie. We can definitely manipulate weather. I think that's obvious. We can try to, but we don't control the planet, and we're gonna have a rude awakening one way or another. A lot of these things that they've done, science, and now you could see their true agenda. The same. Here's a huge red flag, and then we'll get into Kim Jong Un because that's what I want to talk about. Someone said, "Hey, buddy, when are you coming on the combo couch?" Shout out, brother. I saw the email. I have. Let me see. 186 unanswered emails. I'll get back to you soon. I get them all in one swoop, but I haven't responded to anyone yet. I got you, brother Craig. Um, I want to say a huge red flag before I start. I want to talk with Kim Jong Un. Let's see what Adam said. This means you can now be the first man on the moon. We'll talk about the moon later, but the first thing I want to say before I talk about North Korea is a red flag to the science is the same people that are saying that they're perverting kind of the genders. It's like there's two genders, and then that you have transgender, someone transitioning genders. I'm not opposed to that per se. It's your choice. But then they're into these things where there's no genders, or there's 20, 30, 40 genders. Those are the same people that are claiming that the science is undebatable. So that should be a red flag that possibly, that sector of the science political people are not quite as sure as they claim to be. Hold on, I'm gonna read some super chats again, then we'll. Yuri Besmanov, you're not really Yuri. That's funny. I mean, maybe you are Yuri, back to life. It would be nice if China takes a picture of the USA rover and flag. That would settle the debate. You're not going to get that. Sorry, brother. That's too logical. I want to talk about Kim Jong Un first, because the moon is some crazy territory. So I'd rather start it off with something that's pretty obvious. So I'm gonna read two tweets when it comes to Kim Jong Un, because I believe he's meeting with Trump. Trump's done a good job to like de-escalate tensions for sure, but I don't think he's giving up his nuclear power. It seems to be the thing. I'm gonna read two tweets from Trump and Tulsi Gabbard. Trump said Vietnam is thriving like few places on earth. North Korea would be the same, and very quickly, if it would denuclearize. The potential is awesome, a great opportunity like almost none other in history. From my friend Kim Jong Un. We will know fairly soon. Very interesting. So Trump is saying, listen, Vietnam's thriving. You would be too with our help, as long as you denuclearize. It seems pretty simple. Like, just get rid of the nukes and we'll help you out. Only problem is, I trust if it was just Trump and he was the only person there, I'm sure maybe Kim Jong Un would think about it, because I do think he likes Trump, but the United States has such a horrible, horrible track record with denuclearizing and telling people that if they give up their weapons, that we'll leave them alone. So it's tough for him to do so. And I'm going to read Tulsi Gabbard's tweet, because I think she's spot on with this. She said, Trump's holding on to our failed regime change war policies is why North Korea holds on to its nukes. Kim sees what we did in Iraq, Libya, Syria. He fears he's next. Without ending our regime change war policies, Kim will cling on to his nukes as a deterrent. I mean, I think she's onto something, because we have a sitting senator, Marco Rubio. He tweeted a picture of Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi, smiling and then murdered, bleeding. How in the world? And I'm no, obviously I'm an American citizen, and North Korea has some problems of its own. I'm not saying that Kim Jong Un's perfect and he has nothing to worry about, but how in the world is Kim Jong Un supposed to trust the United States of America when you have sitting senators tweeting pictures laughing about the last person that they basically murdered, who, according to a lot of reports, gave up his weapons and was starting to kind of capitulate. Although I think maybe what his problem was more about the currency. It seemed like he was deviating from American-backed currency. And I feel for my brother Kim Jong-un. It's not just Trump that's the problem. You could call it the deep state. Some people call it whatever you want, from the military industrial complex, the intelligence communities, the two-party system, where the only thing that they ever seem to agree on is a regime change war. Even in Venezuela, I'm no fan of Maduro, but I just don't. There's so many problems in the world. I don't understand why we pick some and act like we're going to help. We just have too big of a track record. Even Bernie Sanders is like, Maduro needs to go. It's like, dude, that's the only thing. That's the only thing that we agree on. And it just shows, it's like, what's really going on here? I'll read some super chats. I'm going to get back to it. But my point is, how are we going to get Kim Jong-un to denuclearize? Maybe he will, but if Trump doesn't win the next election, or someone like Tulsi doesn't win the next election, like pretty much anyone else on the left or the right, they're not gonna they're not going to obey, what would probably be the loyalty of Donald Trump when it comes to North Korea. Like they've been trying to sow discourse and war in North Korea for a decade. They're so mad at Trump for getting over it. Just like with ISIS, they're furious, I'm sure, that Trump actually fought ISIS instead of supported them and backed them with weapons and funding. So, they're like, man, we got to bring ISIS brides back. That's just a woman. They need to come back to America. You're like, why are you giving ISIS better press than you gave American citizens? It's not a coincidence. They're not thrilled. The media and the military industrial complex is not thrilled that Trump ended the war in Syria and stopped ISIS in their tracks. And they're not really thrilled that he started, getting along with North Korea. So they're doing everything they can to stop it. And Trump's doing great. Don't get me wrong. I'm very proud of him, and I think he's doing amazing. But I don't know why, if I was Kim Jong Un or you were Kim Jong Un, it's like the U.S. government coming to your door and being like, "Give us your weapons. We'll take care of you. We promise." It's like, will you? No, no one wants to do that here. Conservatives, I know for sure, they don't want to give up their rights. So you got to feel for our brother Kim Jong Un. Although I'm not saying he's perfect or he doesn't have his problems, why would he want to give up his nukes when historically it doesn't work out? And also, I mean, you have Marco Rubio just tweeting pictures of dead leaders. It's like, dude, I wouldn't give up my nukes, to be honest. Read the super chats and we'll move on. Someone said Rubio's an idiot. Man, just shows you, man, what was on the right before Trump. Some people are like, dude, it's a two-party system. It's like, for sure, there's still deeper problems I'm realizing on both sides. But it's clear that Trump is a totally different beast, and they can't stand that. Infowars Bear said Alex Jones is right about alien invasion through technology, but he doesn't talk about the secret space program, CERN, suppressed technology. Um, I don't know. Here, I guess I'll answer your question because I guess you super chatted twice. Infowars Bear, you said, "Can you interview Jordan Sather?" I've already done it, actually. I've had Jordan on twice. One time we chatted about QAnon. The other time we chatted about the secret space program. So I've already had Jordan on. Possibly we could talk again, but we'll get into the moon stuff later, brother. I'm not so sure I believe in the secret space program. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not on board, but I'm open-minded. I think there's something going on with the moon and space. I just don't know exactly what's going on. Someone said, "Don't worry about denuclearization. Worry about higher consciousness." Infowars Bear, I know you're famous here for pushing my buttons, and it's kind of a funny relationship. But like, it's my stream, Infowars Bear. You could chat. You can pay me. I appreciate it. But I'm talking about denuclearization and Kim Jong Un, and then I'm gonna talk about the moon. So don't tell me what I can and can't talk to. You're like the teacher who told me not to do that. What do you guys think about, the North Korea situation? It's like you could tell the first year they never wanted Trump to get along. The media, people really have to understand who, I don't want to say enemy, I don't like that wording, but you really have to get to the root. I say here all the time, you have to get to the root of the issue, because a lot of people only get so far down and they chop at it, but it's a constant chop. And it's like, I'm starting to realize now you can make your case for who's doing what and what groups are doing what. And I do that quite often, but the media socially engineers people. It has enough power with tech companies, Google, Facebook, Twitter, pretty much all of the media except for like half of one channel. And they're able to not only divide all of us, that you could see that they're pushing racial and gender division. And I kind of came to a conclusion earlier where you see now, I mean, not earlier, I've been thinking this for a while, but I kind of worded it properly. You see that they're okay with killing babies. They're aborting babies first trimester. First, they were doing that abortion first trimester. Okay, and that you see in the news, they're saying 48 out of 50 states aren't procreating enough. We're not having enough babies, so it's good that we're having immigration and illegal immigration. It's good because we need more people. We don't have enough American babies. Okay, so they're killing people first trimester. Babies, heartbeat, dead. Moves on, has limbs, feels pain, second, third trimester. Like, it's pretty much a fully formed baby. It's disgusting that they're allowing this to happen. Killing. Okay, now third trimester, mid-birth, literally. And now there's legislation where it's very, very, the wording's very dicey. And what the Democrats are doing, and probably some Republicans, but I do think it's mostly Democrats, is they're saying we already have legislation for we already have legislation. That's why they said they voted down this bill, which it says if an abortion happens and the baby lives, like a late term abortion happens and the baby lives, that the doctor would have to save the baby's life and do its best to save it. And they voted no. I mean, from Bernie to I think Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, pretty much everybody running for president against Trump voted no. And a lot of them said, well, no, we already have legislation. The reason I'm not buying that, because I understand if it's double legislation, I have looked at that angle of it. The reason I'm not buying that is because as they're saying that, they're pushing more and more extreme legislation. You have what's his name, the blackface KKK guy, Northam. He's saying if a baby gets resuscitated, we'll talk to the parent and keep it alive only if she wants it to be alive. Earlier today on my show, I had somebody with a spinal problem that they would probably say murder, but you saw on my show that there's nothing wrong, mentally and spiritually, and even many ways physically. She said, I'm not in pain. I was like, dang, I am in pain. So maybe she has less pain than me, even though she has a physical ailment. So it's like this is the stuff that they're doing. It's not like they're playing dumb. Like we already have legislation. They're perverting the legislation with new legislation, saying that for mental health problems or very vague stuff that you can kill a baby, third trimester, mid birth, and now potentially even after birth. So what they're doing is they're killing babies during birth. They're killing babies after birth. Now it doesn't really matter. Then they're saying that, we don't have enough people in America, and they're lobbying to bring over people, by the millions, whether it be illegally, and they're saying mass immigration from Africa and the Middle East. It seems like a plot to really, just subvert the United States, or at least put us under. I'm trying to see my actual tweet because I'm not remembering my exact wording. Let's see where we at. Yeah, I mean, killing babies mid-birth, killing babies after birth, telling people having babies is immoral. That's kind of what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said recently, that babies are immoral. But you notice what they're doing? They're saying that to American citizens, where I'd be okay if all of the world's like, dude, we got to slow down with the baby thing, to make sure that this and that doesn't happen. But they only do it to the United States. And Africa and the Middle East, they're populating at rates of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 1. Like they're not following these laws. And they know this stuff. Maybe they act dumb, or they really are dumb, but they're telling us to not have babies. The rest of the world's having babies. They're pushing the LGBT. Like I'm pro LGBT. I have a lot of gay followers who will probably agree with me. They're pushing it in overdrive. Like you can't turn anywhere without it being gay something. Like they're looking down on straight people, constantly hating on straight people, being way more hateful towards straight people than people are towards gay now. And think about what that means. If a man's having sex with a man or a woman's having sex with a woman, they're not going to have what? Babies. So no babies. Making women hate men. I mean, the modern feminist movement is pretty insane. It's very, very hate driven, and it's also very political driven. No babies if a woman doesn't hate it. So killing babies mid-birth, killing babies after birth, telling people having babies is immoral, pushing an LGBT agenda in overdrive where they don't have babies, making men hate women, don't have babies, and then lobbying to import third world countries to replace mainly whites and Americans now. It's an agenda of total subversion of our society. It's a total anti-white, anti-America agenda. Whether some people, maybe they play dumb, or they are dumb, or they don't know, or maybe they're confused, or maybe other political things kind of skew people's perception. Or I think what I'm starting to realize is deep down, I think people understand it, but it's a hard bridge to cross, because just simply existing now is a threat to this, evil agenda, what I would say. So if you just say one of 13 things I said, people will say racist, sexist, xenophobic, horrible. How dare you basically tell the truth about the world? You shouldn't have babies. That's immoral. But we're going to say nothing about Africa and the Middle East. And then we're going to tell you that you have to bring these people over who statistically enormously vote. I'm not saying specifically Africa, but Middle East, Africa, and certain parts of South and Central America. They vote for people who take away American values and freedoms. It's the statistically, demographically, they're replacing the people who won't vote for them. Let's see what Philip said. I love you, brother. I'm your loyal born Colombian Chinese American sub. Thank you. God bless. God bless you, Philip. I appreciate you. See what InfoWars Bear said. We're struggling with 3D leftist insanity because we're being tested. This is all a game. God is a freaking mastermind. Genius rise above. No, what we're experiencing now Is that absolutely, and it's things are bubbling to the top, and I always say even for someone who doesn't like Trump, there was a lot of bad stuff going on in the shadows, and honestly, it's crazy the way they manipulate and subvert history, because if you look at the 50s, 60s, 40s, 30s, 20s, 10s, 1800s, 1700s, it wasn't necessarily ever great. Like, they act like I'm not saying it wasn't better at certain times possibly, but they act like it couldn't happen. Like, there's no you're crazy for even suggesting that there's human trafficking and this stuff. Like, you're a conspiracy theorist, but it's proven. It's always happened. War, slavery, poverty, and what they do is slavery as far as who they blame it on. They totally lie about the entire situation. But it's natural to want to preserve your rights and protect your freedoms in a world that clearly shows that it can go crazy at any time and has. But the Trump era is bringing a lot of this stuff to the surface, so a lot of people couldn't handle it because in the last 20, 30 years they've slowly been brainwashing people. There's been the degradation of society, of like, all these industries. I mean, now I'm a hip hop artist, you guys know, and I still like hip hop, but the whole industry is disgusting. Like, I turn on the radio, it's a degradation of our society. It's subversion. It's making a bunch of like suburban kids and also kids in the inner cities into idiots, to the point where they're following an ideology that's not going to make them healthy or happy or successful or smart or protected. It's like an ideology of like, you're going to end up in jail, you're going to end up dead, you're going to end up, with the wrong woman or something. The whole culture just keeps getting worse and worse and uglier and uglier and uglier. And it's like television to mass media to movies, they're getting even more and more propaganda. It's been happening for decades, but Trump came into office and really was like, yo, this is happening. So now it's all bubbling to the surface. So the reason I'm talking about all this is kind of what InfoWars Bear is saying. It's all getting crazier. People are like, how are they doing this? How is this crazier? I don't know that it's necessarily crazier than it used to be, but think about a criminal doing really bad stuff, from military to pharmacy to politics to every industry. They're doing awful stuff, but just really sneaky. And then you shine a light on them. It's gonna seem crazier because now you're watching everything that they're doing. You're seeing it move for move for move. You're seeing every little bit of criminal activity that they're doing, but it's not. I don't know that it's. I'm coming to the conclusion. I don't know that it's because it's worse now, but it's just more obvious. It's more open, and when you're that type of person, they're bubbling up. They don't know what else to do except expose themselves. So it's actually a good thing, although it's getting ugly. But just know a lot of people are waking up, and now that the light's shown, I don't know how easy it's going to be to hide this stuff. And Forrest Bear said, I hope the youth listens to you. Let's talk about the moon. To wrap it up, I'm proud of Kim Jong Un and Trump. I think Kim Jong Un is a kid who inherited a regime from his father. So if the media pretends to be so loving and compassionate like they do, we are so loving, compassionate. Everyone else is racist, sexist, and xenophobic because we're so great. He's a dictator. That's what you see progressive and liberal leaders and Trump opposition. I'm sure even on the right wing saying he's a dictator, racist, sexist, xenophobic. Like, literally, it's like a script that they're reading. They claim love and compassion. That's why you say that stuff, right? If you're loving and compassionate, you don't like racism, you don't like sexism, you don't like xenophobia, you don't like dictatorships. So they should have a little bit of love and compassion for Kim Jong Un. He didn't ask to be the leader of North Korea's son. He just kind of was born, and his father didn't have an abortion. And there's Kim Jong Un. He didn't ask to lead the country. I do genuinely think he actually wants to put it in a positive direction. But for a decade, they made no effort to talk to him. During the Obama administration, Obama never talked to him. Rodman was saying to magazines, he's like, dude, Kim Jong-un wants to talk to Obama. He wants to have a conversation. Obama wouldn't even talk to him. How do you know you don't like someone if you don't even have a conversation with someone? That's insane logic. But when it comes to ISIS in the Middle East, when it comes to these wars, they're not trying to win. They're not trying to do the right thing. And that's the hard part I'm finding out, that a lot of people just don't want to acknowledge. They think that there's no way that someone could do this. Like, they're so wrapped up in these lies and false leaders that they're like, oh, they would never do. No, they could. No, they're that bad. It's like certain people commit really bad crimes and hurt a lot of people. there's bad people, or at least people who are possessed, spiritually or mentally, or have issues, they're damaged. They do really bad stuff. So you gotta, to really get through this stuff, you gotta get to the root of the problem and understand there's some really bad people out there who are doing some really bad things. And it didn't start with Trump. He helped shed light to a lot of it. Certain things he's not quite as bullish as I'd maybe want him to be, but overall, he's trying to do the right thing. And that's what I'm finding, not even politically now in the world, but it's like I'm seeing the people who they're trying to do the right thing. We're not perfect. We're all flawed. We all have sin. But there's some people who actually want America to be better, and they want to do the right thing, and they want to try to follow the law, and they want to have somewhat structure that keeps our society functioning decently, and they want to end the degradation, whether it be the porn industry, where I'm not, maybe you can have a perspective on that, but a lot of the stuff that we're like, it's normal, it's normal, it's normal, it's normal, it's not really normal. And you add that with like 15 different things, from like the movies to the music, it's all social engineering, and it's not programming us in a direction of peace and happiness and love. In some ways, yeah, it's a blessing, but in a lot of ways, it's a downward trajectory, and you're starting to see a lot of that. So there's people who want to change that around, and be like, you know what? I understand there's certain things that maybe we could keep and we could compromise, but let's move in the right direction. And there's a lot of people who don't want to do right. Like they're okay with wrong. They're like, that's just the way it is. We're never gonna get back. It's these people's fault. It's those people's fault. It's Trump's fault. It's their fault. Like, no, that they're side. It's like they're siding with evil. They're siding with the world's worst people. It's like they give the benefit of the doubt to the worst people, the people that are breaking the laws, the people that are helping to subvert our society. And then if you actually try to stand up and do the right thing, they hate you viciously. It's like it seems to be segregating good and evil. And there's people who are choosing evil. And I don't like to use those terms lightly, because I do feel like they are exaggerated quite a bit, but it's hard to say otherwise now, where it's like I'm looking at everything and I'm like, they won't say it, they're not going to tell you like, hey, I don't want to do anything right. I don't want to get to the root of the problem. I don't want America to thrive. It's like self-hatred, in a lot of ways, where if you don't love yourself, you're not going to be able to love others. If you don't help yourself, you're not going to be able to help others. If you haven't told the truth to yourself about self-accountability, self-awareness, self-responsibility, how if you internally change yourself, you can externally really do better and, level up in society. If you haven't given that honesty to yourself, you're going to seek lies, and you're going to seek weakness, and you're going to seek hatred, and you're going to seek anger, and you're going to seek, help in places that it's not true. It's like, I need the only way to make people healthier is if we get government to control the health industry. It's like, it's not true. Like we have an obesity problem, we have a pill problem, we have, while there are like my friend Marissa that I had earlier, there are people that are disabled and that are unhealthy, and veterans and stuff that we do need to help. I'm not denying that, but the amount of those people is like this much, and the amount of people that just don't take care of themselves and become a strain on society, not by genetics or by physical ailment, but by choice, by being lazy or weak, is bigger. And that's where most of the money's going. So if you want to, the easy thing to do would be like, dude, just give it all to the government and they'll figure it out. First of all, it's never true. They never do anything right. Every industry you could think of, no matter how bad it is, it would get worse. Like, you think Amazon's bad? They do some stuff that's highly questionable, like don't really pay taxes and treat employees weird. But if you look at the service and stuff they provide, and also how they provided to small businesses, my friend was talking about it earlier, they do a lot of good work amongst, the bad things that they do. And trust me, I'm no fan of Jeff Bezos or the Washington Post that he owns. But compare like an Amazon to a Walmart. There's hundreds of thousands of people who've been able to create small businesses just working through Amazon. How many people have created small businesses working through Walmart? None. So it's not the same, but it's like the easy thing would be like, let's just give it all to the federal government. They'll do a better job. No, it's not true. You have to understand, at least even to help people. Yes, some people have genetic problems. Some people have this problem and that problem, but the majority of people that would be wasting the money of what is government sanctioned healthcare, mandatory and individual mandates, where it would be people who are, the tens of millions of people who are obese by choice. It'll be the tens of millions of people who are mentally ill by choice. And I'm not, don't get me wrong, there's people who are mentally and physically ill not by choice. I'm not saying that's not true. I'm all fine for helping and subsidizing for them. But what I'm saying is if you don't keep it real with yourself, if you don't maximize what you have, if you don't get rid of the victim mentality, you're constantly going to get played by false media, false idols, false politicians who promise you something that you're never going to find anywhere else besides in yourself. Like there, I like Trump because he's taking care of a lot of business that a lot of people weren't, and he's exposing the mass media, and he's curbing the war in Syria to an extent I've never seen done ever. He's trying to solve North Korea, although it's hard with a bunch of psychos behind him. He's not doing exactly what I would do in Venezuela or Iran, but I'm just like, you know what? The fact that he's exposing mass media, to me, people don't understand why it's so important. The social engineering and brainwashing of our society, it's creating new leaders and new liars and new lawyers, you know. So it's like, until you get rid of that brainwashing, you're never going to have a future generation that actually steps up and becomes better. So it's like cracking the safe. Like, he's doing God's work in that way. So I appreciate it. But I don't think, like, people get it twisted. I Even with when I supported Bernie Sanders, like, I did think he was a matrix breaker and he was going to break the two-party system. However, even with Bernie, I was constantly working on myself. I was building my social media while I was supporting him and helping him. I had a song for Bernie, you know, that got millions of plays. So I'm gaining, you know, support as well while I'm doing what I love. It's not because I'm trying to reap the benefits of Bernie and just be like, oh, I'm trying to make money and just throw him to the side. It's because I'm like, you know, I was like, dude, he's a politician. Like, eventually he might turn south and then I'm going to be hung out to dry. So I protected myself in a way where it worked out, in the sense of, like, he did what I considered to be turned on me, but you know, I moved on and it's okay. And same with Trump. Like, people get it twisted. Like, I'm fine if people are like, what would happen if Trump did this or that? Like, if he decided to go down a path of wrong, so I mean, I don't put that much energy into him. I mean, I do really appreciate him, and I do try to, you know, tell the truth and back him up because the media is against him. But, like, I'm not looking at Trump like he's gonna save my life. Like, oh my God, Trump's my everything, and he's gonna give me health care, and he's gonna give me all these things. Like, I don't know what he can and can't do. I hope for the best. He's impressed me so far. My expectations for him were like here, and he's operating at like a level here. So it's like, the reason I love him so much is because I had zero expectations, and that's part of my healthy mindset lifestyle, to not really expect anything. But it's like, that's what people don't get. The people that are so dependent on other people, it's like a snake oil salesman. And this goes on the right too, on some people. But I see that in a lot of movements on the right wing too, to be fair, where it's like, people are so desperate for certain things, whether it be truth or help or, you know, prosperity, that they're willing to believe and buy into anything. So it's like, you got to keep it real with yourself, where it's like, even if you want someone to do the right thing, it's like, I'm just the left, to me, although it does happen a little on the right. It's just getting to the point where, like, none of what they say makes sense. None of their policies would work. It's just obvious to anybody that really looks at everything and understands that the government doesn't ever really do the right thing when you give them more power, money, and control. But that's why I preach here, and that's what other people don't do. You know, sometimes I'll give health tips, life tips, not that I'm that qualified or anything, but, like, I do that because at the end of the day, I don't care if people agree or disagree with me. Honestly, I just hope there's good people. Like, there is a good versus evil battle, or balance. I don't know if it's meant to be or not, but it's like, we do need some good energy. I want you to succeed. If Trump decides to do something crazy, I want you to be happy and successful anyway. Like, if Bernie turns out to be a con man who totally lied and took $180 million and continues raising at enormous rates because people buy back into the scam, it's not my business. I don't really care what you do, but I just want to help people. And a lot of political analysts, and especially mass media on the left and the right, they don't actually want to help you. They're using you. You turn on the mass media, you turn on CNN and MSNBC, they scare the crap out of you, they lie the crap out of you, and then they sell you pills and lawyers in the commercials. They're not your friends. They're not even trying to help you. They know when cameras are off, they know that they're not helping. They know, they're like, dude, this Russia collusion thing's probably a lie, but hey, it's getting the ratings up. Like, they're driving you mentally insane because mentally insane people will take the pharmacy pills that are their biggest sponsors. It used to be one or two commercials total. Now it's three commercial per set. It's like 20 commercials per hour. They're trying to drive you insane to give you pills, just like some politicians are trying to drive you into patheticness and weakness so they could sell you the lie of big government. No functioning family, and you could blame the economy and other things as well, but no functioning family that's healthy and happy is going to buy into big government and loss of freedom and, stay silent about censorship or the killing of third trimester babies while illegal immigration and mass immigration's like roaring through, in the millions and tens of millions now over the course of a decade. No one's gonna they need you weak. And that's what even media on the right does. I don't like a lot of mass media on the right because one, honestly, I'm learning a lot of people on the right are very easily conned, and they claim that they're pro free speech all the time, and they claim that they're pro free speech, but then they kind of cuck out a little bit and they're like, oh, no, you can't say that. No, that's bigoted. Oh, how dare them say that? That's bigoted. That's racist, sexist, xenophobic, and bigoted. And I'm like, how could you claim to be a constitutionalist and a conservative and a patriot when you use the same tactics as the right wing, as the left wing, when things don't go your way? Like, that's not, it's annoying. But point being, I'm trying to lift people up because at the end of the day, politicians and media sources, like they're not our friends, and they're trying to make us weak and vulnerable. And what I'm trying to do is get people going. That's why I've launched 30 plus people with millions of views. I want people to go start a business, be big online. My boy Craig, I'll answer your email soon. I really haven't seen any emails. If you're still here, I'm down to debate and discuss and also lift people up. I know since we've talked, a lot of people, even though he's more progressive leaning, have been like, dude, I appreciate what he's doing. Because the point of even a discussion, although I will say I am getting very annoyed with the useful idiot behavior on both sides, it's to learn. So, and listen and observe. And I see why the left is doing well, because honestly, the right just dropped the ball in a certain situations where I'm like, ugh, it's like what the Democrats did. You're at the 1 yard line, you could win the whole game, and then you drop the ball. You're just like, ugh. Oh my goodness. But that's what it's about. Debate, discussing, learning, listening. And I'm trying to help that. So Kim Jong Un, overall, I like him. He's funny. Him and Trump are like the new power couple. Hopefully the meeting went well. And I love Trump, and I do trust Trump as far as denuclearization. I think if it was just Trump, that Kim Jong Un could denuclearize and everything would be fine. And there's a possibility that even with all that's going on, he could do that and thrive. But I can't lie. I understand why Kim Jong Un doesn't want to do that, because the track record's horrible. And while Trump's trying to do peace talks, Marco Rubio's tweeting pictures of Gaddafi dead. How is that supposed to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to give up all my weapons? Like, we have a terrible track record. That's why with Venezuela and Iran, I get it. Like, I'm not saying, like, we can have bases in certain places and keep our eye out and hold a line. I'm all for holding a line. Like, don't cross this line or we gotta knock you off. But I don't like this little like weeding our way in and being like, we're trying to help. It's like, are we? I don't know. Maybe we are, but all right. Second story. I know everybody wants to hear about the moon. So there's two very interesting stories on the moon this week. The first one that caught my attention, I saw it on my friend's Instagram, Sierra. Shout out Sierra. I saw it on her Instagram and I was like, I wanted to figure out if it was a real article or not. Because sometimes some of these, especially the spiritual Instagrams, they're the worst. Like I follow a lot of them and they do really great work, but they'll always lie. Like they'll post like a Keanu Reeves quote or like a Jim Carrey quote. They're like, Jim Carrey's like the best you can be. And you look it up and you're just like, dude, Jim Carrey and Keanu Reeves never said that. So I'm like, a lot of these spiritual pages that I follow, they post fake news a lot. So I looked it up and it's true. A lot of big science websites are picking up the moon is inside Earth's atmosphere, European researchers say. This is on Big Think, the orange, they got the orange branding. Scientists examined data from 20 years ago to reach a startling new conclusion. So this is new to them. I do want to say I try not to talk about the moon too much here because I don't want people to think I'm crazy, even though I'm probably right. And I don't like to claim things I don't know, although I have my suspicions. But when I talk to my friends, I'll just tell you guys now, since it's probably all going to come out eventually. I tell people, look at the moon. I'm always pointing to the moon. Look at the moon. Sometimes it's in broad daylight. You could see the moon clearly, very close in daylight. I tell them, dude, look, it's sunny out. Look at the moon. What about it? Just look at it. They're like, dude, it's huge. It looks pretty close. I'm like, yeah. Point being, when I turn off all the propaganda or what someone considers science and astronomy and just look at it and use your common sense, I'm like, dude, the moon to me, I've had a theory for a while and I'm no Galileo, so I'm not that invested in it. Like people, like someone could try to ruin my life with these theories. And oh my god, Anomaly said this. Oh my god, he's smarter than me and he has a mind of his own. And he doesn't believe everything that NASA said. It's like, all right, buddy, relax. But that's why I don't talk about it that much. But when I look at the moon, I don't think it's that far. I've said this for years now. I'm like, dude, the moon's not as far as they say it is. And also, I personally, I don't think you can even land on the moon. We'll find out soon because a lot of countries are on it. But I've seen videos where you could look through the moon. It's translucent. When I really studied the moon on my own, and I want to get a telescope soon, but it looks translucent to me. I'm not. It looks like a light source, like an energy light source, and translucent. I'm not personally convinced that you can land on the moon. I've thought this for a long time. So I got really interested, but it's not like my big theory to like scream about all the time as far as like people are like anomaly like because I just don't want to put up with annoying people who are like, oh, that discredits everything you've ever said. I'm like, why? Because I have a theory and an idea of, and now we're finding out if this is true. This should be a huge awakening to people that there's a lot of the moon, and I'm going to get into all the stuff I can prove. That's why I stick to that. I don't like to get into my theories and ideas. I'd rather just stick to what I can prove. It's easier that way. Although it's still not easy because people can't even accept the truth that's in like Reuters and stuff. They're like, "Oh my god, anomaly, conspiracy," and I'm like, "Dude, it's in Reuters. It's in NASA. They said it. How do we know he's a NASA scientist? Look it up. He is like it's not like people are ridiculous, but." The moon is inside the Earth's atmosphere, European researchers say. Let's see what they say. Observations made by the SOHO spacecraft over 20 years ago led to a new discovery. So let's just read that line again. Like people think the science is so settled. Even NASA on their own website, I've read this 6 times. They've admitted they don't know how much snow's falling. They only measure the coastlines. They have no idea how much ice is gaining or snow is gaining or melting in Antarctica. They have no idea. They have a very small understanding. Most of the 80% of the ocean is unmapped, unobserved, unexplored. And that number said 95% a couple years ago. And now they're changing it to 80. I don't know it's true, but they don't know crap. They admit that they don't know anything. So, but let's read this line. Observations made by the SOHO spacecraft over 20 years ago led to a new discovery. How did a 20-year ago discovery lead to new observation? Like it was 2 decades ago and they just figured it out now? They're just telling you now. People have probably done this for decades, but they're like, dude, we just have a new discovery based off 20-year-old discoveries. It's not new. That line doesn't even make sense. Observations made by the SOHO spacecraft over 20 years ago led to a new discovery. So observations that people had 2 decades ago led to a new discovery. I mean, I get it, but it's like, it's not even new. The Earth has hydrogen envelope as part of its outer atmosphere called the geocorona. The geocorona stretches well past the moon, reveals a study. We are more linked to the moon than we've realized. It turns out that the outer part of Earth's atmosphere stretched considerably past the lunar orbit. In fact, it goes as far as twice the distance of the moon. So, just in a day, if these reports are true, I can't verify them. If these reports are new, that means that our understanding of the Earth's atmosphere has gone from Earth's atmosphere, moon, to moon, Earth's atmosphere 2 times as far as the moon. They don't know crap, guys. They don't know anything. They've lied so much that people aren't going to be able to handle it. Like, how wide are Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's eyes going to get when she finds out that the whole climate change science is not true, that there's active volcanoes, the ocean's unexplored, the entire theory of the moon is incorrect, the sun literally heats the planet, it's not nearly as far as they say it is. Like, how are people going to be able to respond? They're not going to be able to handle it. That's why I'm trying to ease in on it, because if you're wrapped in 50 lies and ego and anger and pride, and this goes left and right. If you have too much anger, pride, and ego, you're gonna lie to yourself, and then you're gonna like liars, and you're gonna believe angry liars. You're gonna attract what you are, and be like, "No, Anomaly, you're wrong. I gotta listen to this angry conservative who just screams at me all the time." And I'm like, if you want to, you can, but you're lying to yourself. How are people gonna respond when their whole ideology of science is a lie? There's no such thing as science is settled. That's a total made up propaganda lie that's propagated in the news all the time. There's no such thing as settled science. What does that mean? I mean, the real settled science would be like the amount of force that it takes to knock through a wall. Like that's something that you can measure. Or like the science is like, here's a card and hold on, do I need this card? What is this? No. Here's a card. Or here's paper, I ripped it. Like, that's science. Like, the paper's ripped, I did it. Like, that's science that's pretty much settled, although there's probably some differences that can be made there. There's no such thing as climate science is settled. That doesn't make sense. There's volcanoes, there's storms, there's tsunamis, there's the sun. The sun could go out. It could shut off. We could research everything we want about the sun and think we know everything about it. It's billions of trillions of years old. Then have we studied every year, and we've never been there. We can't go near the sun. It's too hot. Is it? I'm trying to think too. It's pretty strange because now that I'm even thinking of that, but that I don't even want to get into that, but it's like certain altitudes are even cold, but it's probably distance to the sun. Anyway, the whole narrative's a lie. There's no such thing as settled science, and there's no such thing as denial of propaganda that said it's just insane. So it's like with the moon, our whole understanding of it potentially was changed in a day. Just like they found out in The Independent last year. I say this all the time. They found an active volcano under that melting ice glacier. So think about this. If this water is warm, it's really warm. And I'm like, it's warm because there's people running around it. It's warm because there's people running around it. That's what it is. The science is settled. That's why this is warm. That's why this is melting. And then I find out that there's a stove under it. And then this is how stupid the news thinks you are. And honestly, they're right about a lot of people. They say, we found a volcano under the ice glacier. But no. That has nothing to do with climate change. It has nothing to do with the melting ice glaciers. They're gonna melt anyway. They're gonna melt anyway. It has nothing to do with it. They think you're stupid. That changes the science. It's not settled where it's like, okay, maybe humans have an impact, but if there's a active volcano under the ice glacier, yes, that's scientific. And yes, that probably contributes to melting ice glaciers. I mean, that's obvious science. But they'll say, no. Has nothing to do with it. Trust me. Don't look there. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to Trump. Don't look in that corner. There's no way. They think you're stupid. People here aren't. Some people are. Let's read more of the article. Big thing. We are more linked to the moon if we've realized it turns out that the outer part of the Earth's atmosphere stretches considerably past the lunar orbit. In fact, it goes as far as twice of the distance of the moon. The discovery is a product of observations by the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, a spacecraft launched in 1995 to study the sun, operated by the European Space Agency and NASA. Okay, so people would be, this is no, it's Euro Space Agency and NASA. Measurements taken over 20 years ago by Soho got a fresh look in a new study, which came to a remarkable conclusion. So it took them 2 decades. I thought the science was settled with the moon. It took them 20 years to figure out something that what the data showed is that the corona, a hydrogen envelope which wraps around our planet, extends up to 6,300 km, 391,464 miles away from it. The distance is 50 times the Earth's diameter. Let's see. The moon flies through the Earth's atmosphere. Data archived many years ago can be exploited for new science. Data archived many years ago can often be exploited for new science, says Bernhard Fleck, a European Space Agency SOHO project scientist. I wonder if he thinks that data from 20 years ago on climate science could change the science. No, 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 no. That science is settled because that science involves a total UN EU takeover of Europe, and it includes a massive trillion-dollar Ponzi scheme and a tax thing that would completely crush our current society. But no, 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 no. That science can't change. But every other science in every aspect can change, except for political science. It doesn't change. Total lie. This discovery highlights the value of data collected over 20 years ago. Blah, blah, blah. Besides being transformative in understanding its own atmosphere, the discovery may be helpful in search for planets with water beyond our solar system. Detecting the presence of hydrogen in their outer atmosphere can mean the presence of water vapor near the surface. So, in a day, European scientists have gotten to the point of being like, oh, atmosphere is actually way further than the moon. The moon's not that far. And honestly, you could measure it with telescopes. So you can get into that on your own. I'm not gonna until I've done it myself. I'm not gonna claim anything. But when it comes to the moon, regardless of what you think about it, whether you think I know Infowars Bears thinks there's a secret space program, that's fine. I know Jordan Sather thinks that too, and I actually had him on my podcast, Make America Debate Again. You could listen to my conversation with Jordan. I gave him the floor to explain his theory because I'm not a hater. I'm an appreciator. But I don't think we can personally even go. But regardless of if you think there's a space program, we can't go, we went, we didn't, like whatever your theory is, here's some things that are pretty much confirmed. NASA's oldest whatever scientist, I don't know exactly his term or his title, Ben Don Petit, said we'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. Problem is we don't have that technology anymore. We had it and we lost it, and it's a painful process to build back again. And people say on my Facebook, I posted the moon video again today that has like 9 million views. They say, Anomaly, dude, you're so dumb. Like we don't have the technology to build what is it? We don't have the technology to build a whatever the line was when they built cars. It was like the productivity line. First of all, I'm sure we could probably put that back together again if we needed to. But also, it's like, dude, we didn't even have computers that were 1,000th of powerful as now, and now we can't figure. Dude, we have calculators and equations. It's not. I don't buy it. But anyway, they get mad at me for what NASA scientists said and displaying it. They're like, Anomaly, how dare you even show? I didn't say it. He said it. I'm just showing you and being like, does that make sense to you? If it does, that's fine. But it's funny seeing people get mad at me for things that I didn't even say. NASA gave a moon rock to Holland. It turned out, this is mainstream news, it turned out to be petrified wood. So NASA lied. Neil Armstrong, I think, and Buzz Aldrin gave a fake moon rock. So they don't have a moon rock, or they gave a fake one for some reason. Does that make sense to you? Maybe it does. They also said, they don't have the telemetry data. They lost the technology. It's a painful process to build back again. And then they had the situation where they taped over or lost. They're not even sure. They taped over or lost the original tape. The prime accomplishment of humanity. I mean, we went to the moon and they taped over the tape with $1 billion budget. You have to be a special person. I get maybe people think they're lying, that because they're hiding something like a secret space program, or they saw some aliens, or they know too much. I don't know what the theories are, but it's like, if you get mad at me for putting all those together and being like, dude, something's not adding up, that's just hilarious to me at this point. I'm not even gonna get mad at it. It's like I said, at the end of the day, you can only meet someone as deeply as you've met yourself. If you tell the truth to yourself, if you love yourself, if you've healed yourself, if you're peaceful and you're comfortable, then you could seek it in others. But at this point, if you haven't done any of that, and that's why I'm so onto politicians, because like some of them are bugging out, and it's like, dude, they're not even at peace with themselves. They don't even tell the truth to themselves. They're not even calm or like functional themselves, and they're trying to spread peace to the world. You can't spread peace to the world unless you're at peace with yourself. That's just basic. That's real science. But anyway, someone said, anomaly, what do you know that we don't? I mean, I don't know what you mean. I'm pretty straightforward here. So I don't know. You gotta specify what you mean. I'm not quite sure. So around the moon footing, they gave a fake moon rock. They don't have the telemetry data anymore. They don't have the technology to go. They do I don't it's like, dude, the amount of lies around this and the fact that now they say that the moon is inside the Earth's atmosphere, possibly. China's growing plants on the dark side of the moon. I'm not buying it, but possibly. That's another one that came out this week. China grows plants on the moon for the first time ever. New photo shows cotton seeds sprouting inside sealed container. Dude, in the picture, it could like the picture is so not proving. Like someone said, here's logic in science, and they get mad at this. If you've really gone to the moon, take a picture of or get footage that's believable of the American flag. Is there did they really put in I mean, the whole narrative is so obviously not true. It's ridiculous to me, but I'm just gonna pretend like I'm not sure. Like I don't think there's a flag on the moon, but maybe people think there is. Like, show us proof or show us something. They take a picture of what could be a plant anywhere with like weird lighting. It's like, mm, and they're like, oh, that's really believable. Seed carried by China's Change 4 lunar lander have sprouted, marking the first instance of biological matter grown on the moon. China said they went to the dark side of the moon recently. InfoWars Bear said their secret space base is on the dark side of the moon. There could be. I'm not that's why I don't talk about this stuff that much, because I'm not that invested in it. Like, here's my personal thought is we can't go to the moon. I've always thought the moon was closer. So now that this information comes out, it pretty much confirms what I've thought before. That was science. If there is secret space bases on the moon, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I never saw that coming. Cause I'm not that stubborn. I don't care that much. And also I'm not that cocky or egotistical about it. Like a lot of people are, where they're like, dude, this is what it is for sure. Maybe, but like, it's tough to be that sure about it, especially like you might be right. There might be a secret space program for sure. But I don't know. I'm so far removed from believing that we are there. I got to see some proof. Elon Musk, China, InfoWars Bear, Jordan Sather, and Trump, Space Force. Like, it's not that I'm doubting them. I just want to see the proof. And if it happens, it's not going to be like, oh man, you were wrong. I'm like, we'll see. I appreciate that people are diving deeper. I hope we get to it sometime, because it's like I'm not believing it. And there's theories that the more and more I listen to, I don't know. I don't think the moon. What do you guys think about the sun? Now that this is all coming out, I feel a little more justified to talk about it. My personal thought is they say the moon is this distance. They say the sun's way further away but bigger. I don't actually believe that at all. I don't think the sun is that far either. Like, I don't think the sun is way further away. I think it's not that far. And I think they lied about the sun too. And maybe that'll be science one day and I'll seem smart. InfoWars Bear said Draco reptilians prevented David Icke from Australia. Maybe, I don't know. At this point, honestly, like it's funny because now with like Trump in the White House and, conspiracy theorists getting banned and stuff, a lot of the craziest people are seeming the smartest. I mean, like it's David Icke, regardless of what you think about his reptilian theory. I talked about it the other day. If you listen to his argument, he's on point about almost everything. So it's like, if he's right about reptilians, maybe. If he's wrong, I'm not that invested in the reptilian theory. I don't quite believe it. But it's like people just write him off as crazy. But if you listen to what he's saying from like how the world operates, honestly, I think David Icke understands foreign policy even better than a lot of conservatives. To be quite honest, I think he's not completely in line with me, but I think he brings light to a lot of things that right wingers don't do. So it's like you can't write people off. You can, but I learn the most from a lot of the people they say are the craziest. Like, they're like, dude, don't listen to them. They're hateful. And I listen to them. I'm like, not only are they not hateful, not only are they not that hard to understand, but they're actually quite logical and they make more sense than a lot of people, you know? What do you guys think? Anything is possible to me at this point. Like, it's just so, like, we haven't, think about this. A lot of people say Antarctica is hiding some secrets, and I think it is. But dude, the ocean, 80% of the ocean is unmapped. We might not even be in control of this planet. Like people are like, dude, David, like what? I mean, maybe we are, but it's not that hard for me to think. Like we haven't even explored most of Earth. And I want to say real quick too. I was at what was it, Conscious Life Expo, and one of the main guys there, I'm not quite sure of his name, but I forget his name. He was like very well renowned in the alien community, and he said something to end his speech that made no sense at all, and it made me very skeptical. He said, Eric something, I think. He said, "We've explored all of Earth. We've explored all of the human brain. We've researched every animal, and now it's time to go to space." I was like, none of that's true. I don't think I don't think we've unlocked the entire human brain. I think that's a lie. We haven't, we haven't discovered every animal. That's a proven clear lie. And it's anti-science to say we've explored all of Earth. That's just obviously not true at all. So it's like, dude, how is this guy the biggest alien expert and he ends his statement with a massive lie? Like I was, and I'm not trying to knock him. I'm sure he's done good work or whatever, but dude, he said we've explored all of Earth. That's why we have to go to the moon. I'm like, dude, that's not even true. And like everyone's just like clapping, and I'm like, that's why you got to be real careful, even in like the conscious community and the alien community and the conspiracy community and the conservative community, and pretty much everything where it's like you got to really be careful because everyone's so desperate. Like conspiracy theorists are so desperate because they're so lied to. They're just like, dude, F the mainstream media, F normies, F the left and the right. Like, I'm right, I'm on it. But if you're following somebody like that, no offense, it's just like you're following liars. I don't, I mean, I'm not saying everything he says is a lie, but if you think that the earth has been all explored when it's not true, I mean, unless you think that maybe someone did it without telling anybody, that's a possibility. But it's just like, dude, everyone plays themselves. That's why, like, I'm not joking when I say this stuff. You have to dig deep inside. You have to. Because if you lie to yourself and you have anger or resentment or jealousy or ego or fear or pride, you're not going to be the best version of yourself and you're going to get played. And I see so many good people because they're hurt and they're fearful and they're weak and they've been lied to so much that if you get an ounce of truth from someone, it's like, man, I'm going to follow them all the way. And man, it's just like even in the conservative party, on the left, obviously, and in the conservative conspiracy, whatever, like there's so many people that I'm just like, yeah. And I'm not saying it as a way, like some people are like, don't listen to them, they're a shill, they're an agent. I'm not saying that. I'm just like, when I see something that you say is not true, or you're incredibly sure about something that you're not sure about, it's just interesting to me. But to each their own. Heather said, I think the reptiles he talks about are demons. That's what it's a good point, Heather. Thank you for super chatting and saying that, because I that's why I like David Icke, because a lot of people are like, dude, his reptilian theory is so crazy, like I can't get over it. But it's like, just replace that with demons. Replace that with actual reptiles, if that's what you think. Replace that with evil people. Replace that with the group of people that you think are controlling the world. Replace that with globalists. Replace reptiles with any other word, and almost everything he's saying makes complete sense. That's why I don't trip over that. I appreciate you saying that, because it's like, yeah, I never tripped it. Like, I wasn't like, dude, he said reptiles, I'm tuning it out. I'm like, dude, this guy gets it. The whole world's being inverted and subverted, and that's why they're targeting him now. It's because he's on point and about a lot of stuff. So people get too It's funny because it's like ego and pride. People go to school, even if they go to science school, if you're not in, like, a lot of school is indoctrination, and they just want you to follow, 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 and they're not really looking for you to be intelligent and critical thinking. So a lot of this stuff, so that's why even with debates and stuff, I ask questions, I bring people on. Even in a debate, like, people are like, "Anomaly, you crushed nuance, bro." I do think I did very well, and I looked, I think better. But if you want to ask me to pick sides or something, people will pick a side. But it's like that's not what matters. What matters is it was a great debate. He made some valid points. I made some valid points. He brought out the best in me, So and vice versa. As far as like when you challenge somebody, you put them against the wall and make them really think about what you're saying. And even when I have progressives on where I don't agree with what they're doing domestically, I think it's horrible. But they're going to have a point or two that's valid that I don't get to talk about a lot and that needs to be talked about. So it's like I really, that's what it's about, is taking the best. And if you have too much pride and ego and hate, you block all that out and you're like, no, that disagrees with what I think and they're bad people. It's like, don't do you're playing yourself if you do that. There's so much to learn. Today in the shower, I listen to great stuff, man, and stuff that people would be like, don't listen to them. That's terrible. And I'm learning so much. And that's why I keep just getting better understanding of stuff, because I listen to debates and discussions and it's clear to see what's right and wrong. Not because I have some sort of great filter, but it's like when somebody says something, either they counter it with something that makes sense or they like yell and get mad or, it's like, it's kind of easy to be like, all right, well, that's not really true, but I don't hate them for it. That's the thing. People are like, dude, F that person. That person won. It's like, dude, it's all meant to be. It's all okay. Everybody plays their role. Everybody has something to offer. Above Majestic said, love is energy. The media is propelled by hate. There you go, brother. That's it. God bless. Someone said Aquaman lives in the ocean. Maybe. I mean, I don't the ocean is so vast, and here, let me look that up, cuz people, it used to be 95% and now they just changed it recently, which is honestly is pretty sketchy, but let's see. This is straight off. So, all right, so this is from livescience.com and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. Yet much this is from 2011. As of year 2000, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration estimated that as much as 95% of the world's oceans and 99% of the ocean floor are unexplored. We've never been to the bottom of the ocean. Most of the ocean it's like, dude, someone's the most like supposed to be the most intelligent person at a conscious life panel, and he says we've explored all of Earth. That's why we need to go to the moon. We haven't. It's not even true. 99% of the ocean floor is undiscovered, and I don't know. It says like 80% is unmapped. Like, dude, they've Google mapped everything. They know everything about everyone, but it's like they haven't mapped or explored most of the ocean. And there's people sitting at expos telling hundreds of people that we've explored. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's just like, what? It doesn't make sense to me. Someone said, aren't at most like 2% of people gay? I don't know. I'm not sure what that even has to do with the ocean, but it's pretty funny. I don't know. I wanted to read that. See what you guys are talking about. A lot of it is mapped, but not in detail or directly. Yeah, no, they got a long way to go. The earth is unexplored, and if you haven't discovered, if the earth is 70 something percent ocean and 95% of it's unexplored, that literally means you haven't explored over half of the planet. And they're saying that the science is settled about something that it's not only not settled about, it's not only drastically changed in the last year or two, according to NASA themselves and mainstream media, as far as what might be causing ice melting and stuff. It's such an obvious lie. I'm starting and I understand not everyone's well versed on stuff, but it's like the baby thing. Like, at what point at what point do I not trust you? Some people are like, dude, like, I get that you want this stuff, but you're okay with them murdering third trimester babies mid-birth and after birth, and you want to put the entire health industry into the hands of the federal government? at a certain point, I just can't believe that you're that dense or you're that naive. At a certain point, I'm just gonna be like, all right, well, this person legitimately just doesn't care. And a lot of that's why I say, like, the more I get into it, not everyone has their own path, but I'm noticing a pattern because I'm a street psychologist. You know, I study and I observe a lot of the people that support the progressive ideology as far as like, oh, we don't really care about the baby killing thing's not a big deal. And like, yeah, we'll put it in the hands of the government and the climate change stuff. A lot of that, not everyone. Of course, I have friends that break that narrative, but a lot of it is rooted from like lack of self-control and lack of like a lot of people that I've known in the past for a long time that are like really into this. They're not someone that's like, yo, I want to make America better. I want to be better. I want the world. It's just kind of like a give up, like F it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then there's elements of that in other politicians too, but it's like if you can't even do it yourself, that's where you get played. And I'm starting to I can't just assume that people don't know anymore. Like I used to be like, ah, they don't know. They're just confused. Now I'm just like, you know what? I think they just don't care. I think a lot of people don't really care. Someone said, sounds like eugenics. It is absolutely eugenics. I just had someone on that is paralyzed, and her diagnosis is what they would murder people with. It's total eugenics. They'd be like, well, no, only if the baby has a physical ailment. Well, like, what does that mean? Well, if the woman's mentally ill, half the country is mentally ill. So anybody, what? It's like I made a joke earlier where it's like, what is it like going to TGI Fridays or oh, I don't want to go there. Like women change their mind a lot, you know, like oh, I don't want to go. I want to go there. I want to go there. Guys do too, but it's a joke. Get over it. And it's like, oh, I don't want the baby now. Oh, my baby might have a problem. Well, maybe your baby's autistic and it's going to be a genius. Maybe your baby has a physical ailment like my friend Marissa, who's smarter and a better writer than almost anybody I've read. Like she gets it. Her mind, there's nothing wrong with her mind. She's probably highly intelligent. There's nothing wrong with her soul, you know, and there's nothing wrong with her body, honestly. Although it's definitely, maybe lacks certain things as far as like spine and stuff. She's in a wheelchair. She said she has no pain. That's better than me. I have a lot of pain. So it's like, dude, it's eugenics. I don't know how it's like I'm willing to try to figure this out because it's like I know I have friends and situations and people who follow me because I know they know they'll come to Anomaly for anti-regime change. You know, I'll call out Marco Rubio. I'll call out even Trump, honestly, when I'm like, dude, he doesn't get it. I'll call out I'm not saying he doesn't get it, but like I'm not that bullish on the Iran and Venezuela thing, although I'm not gonna like jump off and be like, F him. He still leaks beyond everybody else. And I always consider too, here's someone said, Anomaly, what do you know that people don't know? Nothing. I don't think I'm that special, but I will say I think a characteristic that a lot of people seem to lack is I understand that I don't. It's like a Socrates thing. I understand I don't know everything. So like people will be like, dude, bad. Dude, maybe there's other things that I don't understand, you know, as far as like how the world's working in little situations. Cause like with Russia and China going everywhere, like it's not all peas and gravy. So maybe there's a move that has to be made that I don't want made and everyone doesn't want made. Like I'll at least let you know that I'm not going to be like, F him, F that. Like it's all rooted in common sense and logic. And there's truth. Like that's why people call me a hippie or whatever. I'm what the left pretends to be. Like I'm compassionate, I'm loving, I'm thoughtful, and I'm not bragging, but like that's what they act like they are. But you could feel it with me. Like when I talk about people that even I don't like, you can feel and sense the compassion. It's genuine, it's authentic. And when they say they're compassionate and loving, it's they're hateful, they're not at peace, they're negative, they're nasty. Like they lie about it all. So I think that's something that is desperately lacking, and that I used to think was on the left. I used to think they were compassionate and loving, but now they're like racist, sexist, xenophobe, dictator, duh, authoritarian, duh. It's like, dude, shut up. Like, no, it's not even true. And it's not like at a certain point, hundreds of millions of people, at least tens of millions, they support the president for multiple reasons, whether it's like anti-regime change in Syria and pretty much North Korea, if economy, like honestly, Trump is every week there's a new win. Every day it's like, in Michigan, he's like, oh, I'm going to help the people of Michigan. They're like, you're never going to help the people. You're a snake oil salesman. And then he brings billions of dollars worth of jobs back, and that, boosting the auto industry, where it's like, you don't have to agree with what he's doing, but he's doing what he said he would do. And he's helping a lot of people that he said he would help. And his mere presence, he's like a fork in the road between the psycho left and the media, and honestly, like a lot of people, and even the warmongers on the right. And like like Trump is the block, where it's like they're not really attacking him. They're attacking America. They're attacking our citizens. They're attacking hundreds of millions of people, but they just use him as a scapegoat, because it's like once Trump's gone, they're coming for us. Like it's so obvious. I mean, when you look at the award shows, and my friend made a good point. Um, and it's maybe, I don't know if it's controversial. It's not really. I don't care. But he's into film. We talked today and chatted, and he was saying, dude, two of the films. All right, there's two films that were nominated for Best Picture of the Year: Black Klansman and Black Panther. First of all, they both have black in it. It's fine. You could say it's a coincidence, but it's not. But Klansman is what people would call an extreme organization, the Ku Klux Klan. And Black Panther was what some would call an extreme organization, black and white supremacists. It's like Black Klansman, Black Panther, black combined with two supremacist groups, essentially, if you want to call them that. This stuff, like they're coming, not just in the film, not just in the media, not just via affirmative action, not just via speech laws, not just like and it's not, I'm not even saying it's black people. I've also come to the conclusion, listening to intelligent people and others, black people and LGBT and women, they're just being used. Owen Benjamin said it good. I was listening to him earlier. He called them proxy groups. You're not like Black America is not fighting for Black America. They're a proxy group being used by higher level people who are just using them as dummies. Like same with a lot of leftists nowadays. It's not, and some right wing people too, but like it's just like you're being a useful idiot. And I see the big pyramid now. I'm not saying there's certain people, but it's like, dude, a lot of leftists, they're just dummies. The black community, they're just being used by higher ups who are writing all the shows, controlling all of the media. Like they're just like, you go fight with them. And they're like, yeah, black power. And it's like, dude, you're just being used. Same with the LGBT community. Like it's just a proxy group in a bigger proxy war against America. And also, when it comes to like women, the women's movement, that's totally true. And also, to be honest, a lot of conservatives, because like conservatives, they do the right thing. But if you notice, they don't make that much progress, like ever. Like even when a conservative's in office and you have all these people marching around the country saying, conservatives, hey, we're still losing ground slowly. It's like when the left's in, we lose ground quickly. When the right's in, we lose ground slowly. We're losing ground all the time. And the right wing, as soon as certain topics come up, all of a sudden they become useful idiots too. The same people fighting for America's freedom, they can't get to the root of the problem, and it's like everyone's just useful idiots. It's so obvious. And I'm not even mad at the people in charge. Like I'm starting to get to the point. If you buy it, and I mean, at a certain point I am upset because I do think the whole system is rigged. I agree with the left and the right there, but if you buy it, they're going to sell it. So it's like, I'm not mad at the banks. I'm not mad at the media. I mean, they're obnoxious and they are evil, and I think they do deserve karma, but you're buying it. Like the right wing buys it. Well, why wouldn't they sell it? The left wing buys it. Why wouldn't they do it? Like we have to level up ourselves. That's the message that I say that transcends politics, that no one's saying. Everyone else is like, vote, vote, vote. It's fine. You could vote, but that's why I'm into media stuff and I'm not running for office. Like we need to wake up. The black community needs to wake up. The LGBT community needs to wake up. The women's community needs to wake up. The white community needs to wake up. The Latino community needs to wake up. Although I will say I'm proud of Latinos. I'm so pumped. Just to be honest, I'm so pumped that America is between Canada and Mexico, because although we do have problems, obviously, with illegal immigration and stuff, it could be a lot worse. Honestly, it's insane that they let this happen for decades. I mean, our politicians are trash, but like Mexicans kind of get it. Like overall, I get it. Like illegals do bad things. I know there's people who've been like paralyzed by illegals and stuff. I'm not justifying illegal immigration, but it's like a lot of Mexicans believe in God and they love their family and they're not that crazy. Like it's not, and same with like South and Central America. If we were in the Middle East or Africa in certain regions, we would be way worse off. So I'm kind of pumped that America, we have pretty good location, like geographically. Let's see what you guys are talking about. No race and all humans need to wake up. Oh, absolutely. It's all, I'll talk about certain groups sometimes because they're being used as proxy groups. And honestly, if you really do your research, you're going to find out that there's some groups that are controlling a lot of things, and they're largely responsible for a lot of stuff. And it's people don't want to talk about it, but it's true. But it's not like the truth. It's good and evil. It's truth and fiction. It's right and wrong, and that transcends every race, religion, and gender. There it's insane to think that there's horrible people of like it's not true. There's good and bad in every race, good and bad in every gender, good and bad in every religion. That is the fight, and people understand that. Here I have gay, black, white, Jew, Christian, Muslim. I have it all. Like, good people know I'm telling the truth, and good people know that I'll have their back because there's bad people on all sides, and they know that someone that they could trust is me, as far as like that won't throw them under the bus or let them get abused. I'm anti-bully. I really am. But it is, I do believe, beneficial talking about certain groups sometimes, because if you're 6 to 12% of the population committing 50% of the murders, it's worth talking about. If you're 1 to 2% of the population controlling, 30 to 80% of everything, it's worth talking about. If you're 60 to 80% of the population and everything's getting thrown on you and you're getting blamed for it, even though you didn't start slavery, you ended slavery, you barely had any slavery, and the, communities that pretty much propagated slavery from the beginning to now are still doing it, and they get no blame. It's like at a certain point, you have to talk about race and religion because it is a thing. I'm not like a stupid hippie where it's like it's all love and then I get stabbed or something. It's like, you know, it's like you have it's all about love. It's all about truth. It's all about good and evil, and that transcends. Like, good people from every community understand what I'm saying is true. However, it is beneficial, I do believe, to talk about certain communities sometimes, because if you don't get to the root of what's going on, and a lot of it is like you got to get to who's doing what and why they're doing it. And I'm starting to learn, and a lot of people don't understand, there's people doing certain things and they're nonstop doing them, and it's not random. I always say too, if you just roam through life and think everything's random, you're going to get random, and it's probably not going to be great. Maybe it is, but probably not. So it's like all this stuff, like you got to get to the root of the problem. Like, why are they doing this? Why is the media doing this? What's in it for them? Like, why? Like, because some people just think, like, I have, like, how far do you want to go? And even if you get as deep as you can go, you might not even be at the, you might not even be all the way there. But a lot of people just think, like, people think the media is just like trying to do a good job. And that, to me, it's just like, all right, you're never going to get to the truth if you can't even understand that the media is lying. Why is the media lying? Well, they have maybe financial incentive to lie. Maybe they're owned by people who don't like you. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting to learn. It's like there's people who are in control. They don't like white people. They actually hate white people, and they don't really value American anything. So it's like, if you have, and there's multiple situations involved. There's donors and high level people of different ethnicities, a few of them, who they don't really care. They don't follow American values. They don't care about American values. They don't specifically like America as much as Americans do. So there's reasons it's happening, and it's like, it depends how far you want to go down there. But it's like a lot of people are so far off course. The more I learn and the more I listen, I'm like, all right, people really don't get what's going on. Someone said it's not looking good for whites. I mean, it's all good, honestly. But I mean, if you look at the world, um, there is an attack against whites. There's an attack against Europe, America. I mean, they're telling you to abort and kill your babies mid and after birth, while their other populations are populating at a rate of 8 to 1. I mean, every white country, which is like basically just Europe and America, they're slowly losing the demographic shift. And it would be fine to me if the demographic shifted and it's just like, oh, it's going to be fine, like everyone's going to chill. But all of the media is anti-white propaganda, so it's like, honestly, if you want to be real, there's some Saudis involved, but it's a lot of Jewish people who might not even like white people. Some Jewish people, they're like, yeah, we love all people, but some, honestly, I'm not convinced that they're super pumped about white people. I don't think they really like America or white people that much. They're convincing other groups to hate on white people, and it's like, it's not what people think it is. So it's like you have the degradation of our society on every single level, from music to film to entertainment, and it's all anti-white propaganda by people that aren't even specifically white. Like, and it's not to say it's all people. I'm not going to blame all Jewish people. There's a lot of great conservative Jewish people, and even centrist Jewish people like Roseanne and Laura Loomer, who get thrown under the bus as well. It's not going to work out for Jewish people either. That's why I'm saying this, because if you really go down it, I'm trying to think what I was going to say. I had something good to say. Oh, yeah, it's like everything is anti-white in the media, and it's anti-Europe. It's a whole different ball game than people realize. I had something really good to say, but it's all good. I'll be on here for a while. Well, here's the thing too. Because I'm going down certain yeah, it's all good. I'm going down certain situations where it's like there's different, obviously there's different types of people, but it's like you have like George Soros style Jewish people where they're like more globalist communist style, and then you have people who consider themselves Zionist, which is like pro Israel, but there's inner beefings as well. It's not all well orchestrated per se, but if you really look at it, I just don't. It doesn't seem, the reason I'm even saying this is like, it's like when I call out white liberals or black liberals, it's not going to end up well for white, black people, or Jews, honestly. Like, you have Hasidic Jews getting beat up in the streets because they're lobbying to bring over Islamic people who don't really like America or Jews that much. So it's like a constant crushing of our society. It doesn't actually make sense. And now it's at the point where anybody pushing liberalism, regardless of your race, religion, and gender, it's the total degradation of society. It's weakness. It's like a total failed ideology. Now it's become literally anti-white, where they're, weaponizing groups against white people and American values. And it's not, people think it's just like, oh, it's just happened. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think they're purposely doing it. I think they're purposely subverting our society. And like what I was saying earlier, now I remember, it's not like I care what race, religion, and gender people are. Like, I'm a horrible person, but it's like, it's clear to me that the black community in America votes primarily Democrat, and we're helping change that. And there's a lot of amazing black Americans leading the way, and that's great. But it's like, they're bringing in more Spanish people, although a lot of Spanish people are waking up, and most of the ones I know get it. They're doing this not because it's like, oh, they want to take over society. And the only ones on a demographic scale who seem to understand the value of the First Amendment and the Second Amendment and the country which we created, or at least not me, I'm from Europe, but I don't know, Thomas Jefferson and them, they created a country of certain values, and they're bringing in people who don't want those values. So it is a total crushing. Oh, this is really what I was going to say. So if you really look into the slave trade, and this is pretty annoying, if you look into the slave trade, like the history of it, Arabs and Jews were much more responsible for the slave trade. I mean, you can even reference, black people enslaving and selling each other. I mean, you look at the history of slavery. White people did not create slavery. White people did not dominate slavery. White people probably ended slavery. We only had slaves in America for not even 100 years. And if you really look at it from the beginning, you could read quotes from the founding fathers. They were already trying to get rid of it because they understood it was profoundly wrong. There's Washington quotes where he's like, dude, like he was basically saying we need to get rid of this stuff. We're getting blamed for slavery. And honestly, in many ways, if say like a lot of these speech organizations and a lot of like the SPLC, the ACLU, or I don't know about the ACLU, but the Anti-Defamation League and all this stuff, they're always like, you can't say this, you can't say this. But and a lot of these media sources that are writing all these shows, like all of these anti-white shows, a lot of them are Jewish written, and a lot of the mass media is Jewish controlled. And they, if we want to segregate by cultures, which I'm not trying to do, but it's like if you're trying to blame white Europeans for everything, it's just not true. I mean, Jewish people controlled the slave market in many ways. Arab people controlled the slave market in some ways. Like white people did not, we didn't create or propagate. So it's like you have groups that actually did that, subverting our, technology. And now it's getting dicey. I don't know what's going on Twitter. I don't know who's doing it. If it's like white liberals like Jack, that he's just psycho, but it's like you look at a lot of these people who invest in the tech companies. They're like a lot of billionaire Saudis, and now you have Jews. A lot of Jews. Jacob Wall, who I'm not even a fan of at all. He's kind of annoying, but he got kicked off. Laura Loomer, Roseanne. It's like it's a shit show. It's not even Jews' fault in some ways. I'm like, now they are getting censored by, I don't know, white liberals and Arabs and maybe angry Jews who don't like them and white. I don't know, but it's worth talking about because if white people get blamed, that's all I'm saying. If white people get blamed 95% of the time for everything, but they're not really responsible for a lot of it, I'm all for self accountability. But there's no movies about Arab slave trade. There's no movies about Jewish slave trade. Have you ever seen a Jewish or Arab slave trade movie? Or an African slave trade movie where they're enslaving each other, or a Native American like shit show where they're just killing each other and it's not just peace, love, and kumbaya. You'll never see the entire media structure from entertainment to movies to television to award shows to social media. It's all anti-white and anti-America. It just is, and people don't want to admit that or realize that, or they say it's crazy to say that, but it's just so obvious. And a lot of these groups are just proxy groups. They're, the LGBT community or the Black community or the women's movements. They're all liberal, globalist, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to name it, movements to subvert America in an anti-white, it's not pro-freedom. It's not pro-equality. It's not pro-justice. It's not pro-truth. It's not pro-love. It's not pro-compassion. It's all hate and anger and fear and jealousy and anger, and they fuel these groups to hate on white people. And I just don't think it's a coincidence. And Americans, honestly, that's why if you're Hispanic or Jewish or Mexican or a woman and you support America and American values, try being a Jew like Roseanne, who supports America and is basically like, listen, like, I like what's going on here. And I think Roseanne's actually anti-regime change in a lot of ways too. Like she likes what Trump did in Syria. They don't care. You get what I'm saying? It's not like, because people will misconstrue what I'm saying, like, oh, Anomali's blaming the Jews or Anomali's blaming the Arabs. Or I'm not blaming anybody, but you have to understand demographics. Like they talk about them all the time. Good and evil exists in everything. But if you have like conservatives have no problem talking about like, the Turning Point USA faction, which is fine. They have no problem talking about how Black people are 12% of the population committing 50% of the crimes. That's controversial to some. Like leftists are like, whoa, don't say that. But, Candace and Charlie and all them and Brandon, no disrespect, all love to them. They have no problem saying, they have no problem saying that it's like Black people are committing too many murders and they need to stop it. But would they ever talk about, the Jewish ownership and control of speech organizations and media and how much representation they have in it, as far as, in relation to what percentage of the population they are, because it's even bigger than the Black population in crime. they'll never talk about it. They'll call you anti-Semitic and they'll cover it up and say, "Don't say it. You can't say that. How dare you say that?" And it's just not true. And the reason I say this is because it doesn't help black people. It doesn't help Jews. If you're a Jew and you get it, like a lot of my Jewish friends, they'll be the meanest to you. They crack down on Roseanne harder than anybody. She's Jewish. How come she didn't get the Jewish privilege card? Laura Loomer's Jewish. She's a little wild, but like, how come Laura Loomer doesn't get the Jewish card? Because the people who are in control, whether it be a high percentage of Jews via their population, black, now it's, black liberals, there's white liberals, there's Islamic liberals. It's, they're all kind of meshing together under this like anti-white, anti-America leftism. It's not just Jews, but it's like they don't actually like Jews. That's my problem. If I didn't like, I even get Israel. I'm not saying I'm sure there's an interesting history there, like that. I read the treaty and stuff where it was basically given to the Rothschild, Lord Rothschild, which is pretty suspect. But even that, like, I get people like Roseanne. She's a friend of mine where it's like she loves Israel, she loves her people, she loves her country. That makes sense to me. I get that. I don't have a problem with that specifically, but it's like what's happening in America that the liberals are doing. It's not good for Jews. It's not good for white people. It's not good. It's actually bad for everybody, and it's actually endangering Israel and America as well. It's like a lose 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 lose. So it's like people will be like, dude, don't say that. It's hateful. It's the same reason I say all this stuff all the time. I don't talk about the black community and the awful culture that has been, we've been brainwashed upon. I don't do it because I dislike it. I do it because I greatly love black Americans and Africans and honestly any good people. And it's foolish and insane to believe that anyone of any race or gender or religion is particularly horrible. I beef with I don't beef, but I get mad at conservatives all the time when they think that all Muslims are just evil and there's no good Muslim people. It's not true. You would know if they were as horrible as you think they are because there's billions of them. And I don't think the ideology is perfect, but at the end of the day, they're not all bad. So it's like same with Jewish people. If you're Jewish and you don't follow the streamlined whatever agenda you want to call it, globalist, and to be honest, you're gonna see my conversation with Roseanne. It's pretty dope. It probably goes deeper down the rabbit hole than I'm even talking about. There's other entities, from the Vatican to the Swiss and others, where it's like it gets even deeper. It's not one person to blame, but if we're gonna talk about demographics and ethnicity all the time, and our whole society is gonna revolve around hating white people and crushing white people and telling white people to abort their babies and telling us that we have to import people from other cultures, then I'm gonna talk about demographics too and be like, listen. Here's this demographic, here's that demographic, here's these statistics, here's that statistics. It doesn't seem like anything that they're saying is true. From all these slave movies, they're not true. From all this anti-white propaganda in the media is not true. Like none of it's true, and it's all in a downward direction. See what you guys are talking about. And a lot of these speech organizations, like it's just like we got to get to the core of it. I don't care. I don't care if it's a black person involved. I don't care if it's a white person involved. I don't care if it's a Jewish person involved, because there are all people involved now. But it's like if conservatives are so obsessed with talking about the black population and how they're committing half of the murders when it's 6 to 12%, why won't they talk about 1 or 2% that is influencing a huge portion, whether it be 10%, 20%, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. I don't know. I don't have the exact stats. But when it comes to the speech organizations, look up the ADL, look up the ACLU, look up what a Southern Poverty Law Center, like do your research. Look who founded them. Look who's, runs them. Look who's operating them. It's not all one people, but there does seem to be a correlation where it's like, I don't care who it is. I don't care what ethnicity, gender, or religion, but if you're not pro First Amendment, you're not really helping me or America. If you're not pro Second Amendment and you're constantly subverting everything that is true and fair and honest and what America was founded on, although it has some flaws, but we're not trying to give up freedom and prosperity. Like it's not okay. So it's happening. And it's a downward trajectory where it's like, dude, it's going to happen, or at least it's getting to the point of unignorable for me, because it's kind of like all this stuff. I'm saying it now, and it's gonna age well. When you ignore like certain things like abortion, where it's like, all right, nah, they won't do that, and it's just like it gets worse and worse and worse. Second trimester, third trimester, like mid birth, after birth. It's like we should have done something about it earlier, you know? And then you go to, the LGBT community. It's like, all right, gay marriage. I've always been pro LGBT, but like now it's at the point where the LGBT community is like the mafia. And it's like, you can't question them. You can't joke about them. You can't suggest that transgenders or male born people shouldn't compete with females. It's like, you're going too far. And this goes with race, religion, and gender. It's not a hateful thing. It's like, listen, it's already gone too far. Speech laws have gone too far. You know, uh, Anti-freedom laws and all this creepy taxing and stuff has gone. It's too much already, and it's not gonna work out well. That's why I say this now, because eventually, even in our society, like history, what I'm learning is like a lot of history, they don't tell the full story, because there's 100 things going on right now. They don't even tell the truth about what's happening with Trump at all. They're literally lying. Like every movie is framed in a way to blame white people for something that they didn't even really start or do at all, white Europeans. It's all a lie. So when you go into history, it's not that certain people are good or bad or right or wrong, because I understand that's controversial, or some places you can't even say it. They have speech laws where you can't even suggest. I'm not even saying that. But what I am saying is there's things that happen and they spur insane leaders, like in communist Russia, and even in Germany. There's a leading up of mistakes that happened. And a lot of people are like, with Trump, they're like, Trump's Hitler. Trump's not Hitler. Trump's actually really nice. He loves Jews. He loves black people. He's honestly the chillest leader ever. Like, Trump is great. And a lot of people get that. But if we keep screwing up, we're going to get a bad leader, and it's going to be bad for everyone. It's going to be bad for black people. It's going to be bad for white people. It's going to be bad for America. It's going to be bad for Jews and Christians. Like, we don't want that. But it's like, if we keep screwing up, there's only going to be two options. Either it's going to get bad for everyone, and it's going to be more crime ridden. It's going to be dirtier. The economy is going to collapse, and we're going to see real poverty and real corruption. Or 20 years down the road, it's going to get so horrible that we're probably going to have an insane leader. And then there's going to be a real split between the country. There's going to be like totally brainwashed people who are like, meh. And then there's going to be like really pissed off people who are like, I don't want to get there. Like, this is not that bad. The Trump era is not that bad. And I say this to, I have even Jewish friends and black friends who understand this. A lot of my supporters, and it's like I have gay supporters, Latino, what we're doing here transcends race, religion, and gender. But in my opinion, it's okay to explore different races and religions, because it's like Islam is not the same as Christianity. Atheism is not the same as Christianity. Judaism is not the same as Christianity and Islam. They're totally different. Like Black America, white America, although we all mold under America, each ethnicity, we have different characteristics, whether it be like I'm Italian and Polish, whether it be nose shape and, facial features, and also like certain characteristics that seem to be, it's not that it defines who you are. We're all souls and spirits at the end of the day, but it's like, it's not a horrible thing to talk about race, as long as everyone didn't get so offended. Like, I'm not going to cry if you, like, people are like, would you be mad if someone said that there's white devils? I'd be like, no, I'd agree with them completely. There's a lot of white devils, and it's a problem. Like, it doesn't offend me. I'm trying to get to the core of it. You're not going to offend me with like characteristics or statistics or science. Like, it's not a big deal. No one's better or worse. We're all unique. It's just like, I did a stream with my friend Marissa earlier, who has a spine problem. Like, is she going to win a race against like a bodybuilder or like a track athlete? No, probably not. But can she outsmart them and do greater things than them in life? Absolutely. It's like, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging these things. It's very similar. So it's like people get so offended by this stuff, but it's like I talk to my friends. I'm like, I challenge these communities because I have good vision and I see where this is going. And if you think Trump is bad for, I mean, the worst narrative on the planet and the most evil narrative on the planet is that Trump is like Hitler. Dude, Trump loves Jews. Trump has done more for Israel than most Jewish presidents would do. Trump is like the most pro-Jewish person from Kushner to every like Trump likes Jews. Trump has no problem with Jews. Trump protects Jews. Trump probably does more for Jews than most Jews do in America. Anyway, he's so far from Hitler, it's ridiculous. And what's annoying about this and why I even challenge certain media things and statistics, and I challenge Jews, is because if people keep lying about this, if the media, regardless of who's running it or who's really behind it, if they keep doing this, that we're going to get somebody that is actually racist eventually, that is actually way more comparable to Hitler, who was a left-wing politician. Honestly, when it comes to a lot of policies and stuff, it wasn't really right-wing ideology, but yeah, he was definitely pro his people and anti other people, and he was what you can say is racist, and I don't want that to happen. That's why I challenge people now, because it's like, first of all, the left is so racist now that if you change, these two guys did a study and got in a lot of trouble. They got it peer reviewed and gold like passed. They changed Jews to white person and they changed Nazis to women, and they got it. They were like, this is great, but it's not extreme enough. So it's already showing you the ideology in America. We have people who have Hitler's ideology and they're leftists. Honestly, they're all very anti-white. Honestly, a lot of people on the left are very anti-Jewish too. You don't get Jewish people don't get more support than they do on the right wing and Trump. That's why it doesn't make sense to me. It's just like black people voting for Democrats. I'm saying like Roseanne says, Jexit. It doesn't make sense. It's like you're voting for your own demise. You're bringing upon your own destruction. So that's why I say this stuff. It's like this is the least anti-Semitic thing I could ever talk about. This is the least racist thing I could ever talk about. This is the kindest, most compassionate thing I could talk about. Because if you think Trump is Hitler, you're you're wrong, obviously, but you're gonna find out what a real Hitler looks like, which would be a left-wing racist, style person, or you're gonna find out what a right-wing authoritarian, all these things that they fear Trump is. That could possibly happen because if our society goes further and further, like why did Trump win the election? Because we screwed up for so long and had so many bad politicians that he seemed like the valid option, and he was. That's why we got Trump. If you think Trump is horrible and you oust him out of politics and you say it's so bad and you keep this whole demographic shift and you keep this whole illegal thing, which honestly is such a slap in the face to Hispanic Americans. We don't Hispanic not I'm not that Hispanic, but I'm part Hispanic. We don't have a victim card. Hispanics don't have it. Like you gave it right to illegals. You passed over it, and there's like 50 plus million Hispanic Americans. You skipped right over Hispanics and gave it right to it's like so ridiculous. But you keep screwing all this stuff up, you're going to have a group of conservative black people, conservative Hispanics, conservative Jews, conservative Christians, conservative everybody's who will vote for somebody extremely extreme. And I don't like extremists. I like extremely kind and compassionate people and strong people and smart people. I don't want somebody that's horrible, but it's like if your city goes to shit, if your country goes to shit, if everything starts getting worse and crazier, people will probably elect somebody horrible, and it'll be horrible for all of these groups that I'm talking about. Let me see what Slap Weasel said. I'm a that's a weird name, Slap Weasel. He said, I'm a German and a Slovak Jew. My left hand pulls my right hand in the shower. I mean, it's I had like the funny thing is like I mean the wrong person would see this and say I'm being hateful, but like my friend who sends me the most controversial stuff about Jewish people is my Jewish friend who's 100% Jewish. he sends me like the stuff that I'm even like, but it transcends stuff. But it's like, if you want to help the black community and you're black, you have to speak to who you consider your community. Although I'd say it's Americans, humans, whatever. You could be like, listen, we got to turn this thing around. That's why I like Roseanne so much. Like she's in her own lane. We don't match up 100% on stuff, but like she's trying to like get Jewish people like, yo, what are you guys doing? It's dope. She gets it. And honestly, I can't wait for my Roseanne interview because, dude, Roseanne is on such a level. Like, she loves Israel, she loves Jews, but like, she gains so much respect and appreciation from everyone because she's so on the ball. She's not afraid to talk about the central banks. She's not afraid to talk about all these disgusting things happening. She talks about like she's so far into the game that like you listen to her and you're just like, damn. Like I can't wait till you guys see the interview. It's so rare. It's insane. I'm so pumped about it. Someone said promo code superior. Yeah, Roseanne is pure truth bomb. She's special people, man. Transcend race, religion, and gender. And honestly, special people. Like I'm speaking to the Jewish people, man. They got like Roseanne gets it. They're fucking up. Sorry, I didn't mean to say the F word, but it's too late. They're screwing over their own people. They're screwing over America, which is a country that it's like the only country that actually helps Israel, or at least helps Israel the most. God knows what's going on with Saudi Arabia, Israel, the Middle East, and even America. We got our own problems, but it's like you criticize America's foreign policy or you criticize America, no one cares. You criticize Saudi Arabia, no one cares. You criticize Israel or Jews and everyone freaks out, but it's like I'm not doing this in a hateful way. I'm doing this because I'm trying to help. And if you can't speak freely, you can't help. And if you can't say the truth, it's not going to end well. It's like that's the most annoying part. Someone said, someone said, I'm trying to read I'll read some comments and I'll see what you guys are talking about. Someone said, even earnestly religious Jews vote overwhelmingly left wing. I think Hasidic Jews vote conservative, but I'm not quite sure. Someone said, stop apologizing, anomaly BU. I'm not apologizing. I'm just making what I'm saying very clear. Because you got to understand too, whatever. I don't know who said that. You got to understand when I'm at my point, like people are dying to misframe me, lie about me, misconstrue what I'm saying. So I make it extremely clear when I talk, and I watch all my angles, and I do that. I've never been maligned by the media. No one bothers me. Pretty much people on both sides respect me enough to not annoy me. The right wing doesn't like I do this stuff. It's even like my videos. I don't even want to be that popular. I don't care, but I want two things. I want my message to get out there to a huge audience, so I have to. And also, I want to be protected because I don't know who doesn't or does like me. So, as long as people are like, "All right, well, like lead in truth, lead in love, but be strong in it." So, I'm not apologizing. I'm not sorry. I'm warning people in a kind manner, but I'm also explaining why it matters because my like someone said my Anomaly's my virtual friend, no weirdo. Thank you, 3EN6IE. Appreciate you. But like you gotta understand too, like these people on the far right or the far left, Jews don't listen to them. Although honestly, I think some Jews do. Like, cause people things transcend. So there's some Jews who like the far right, even though they literally don't like Jews. And there's some Jews who like the far left, even though they hate Israel. So it's like there's a little bit of everything, but like my style of saying this stuff, like you're like, don't say that, Anomaly. It's effective. Like Jewish people can listen to me and they understand that I actually like them and care about them and want the right thing to happen. If you just start hating on people, it doesn't actually work. You only create an echo chamber of people who agree with you. And then you attract a lot of very hateful people. And it's like my heroes, the legends that I look up to, they've woken people up by being so chill and so real that people get it. You know what I'm saying? Like black people can listen to me, the black community, even the rap community. Like no one bothers me. I don't get any bad. No one. I have an Instagram. I say whatever I want. No one bothers me. People are like, "Oh, the rap industry." No, they all like it. All my friends who are touring in rap, they're like, "Dude, you're keeping it real." They know I'm not a loser and a fraud. And honestly, I don't come off like, no offense, but like Tommy Lauren and Ann Coulter, like black rap culture and stuff, they don't like Tommy Lauren or Ann Coulter. I'm not speaking on behalf of all black. A lot of, Jesse Lee Peterson, my friend, he loves Ann Coulter. I'm not even, but I'm saying like rap hijacked culture, whatever you want to call it. They don't like those people. So what I'm saying, like Jews who don't get it yet or don't understand what's going to happen, they're not going to listen to the alt right or the far right, and they're not going to listen to the far left. Probably not. Some will, but like most won't. And I get why, because they're not leading with like truth or love. They're just leading with like a lot of hate, which doesn't work. So I'm not apologizing, but I'm explaining myself because I mean every word that I say. I'm not cutting corners, but it's like if you want Jewish people to like you, it's why I have people in Israel who like my videos, because I don't hate them and I appreciate them and I know that they're good people. I have, Jewish friends who appreciate what I'm doing. It's because I actually care about Jews and I don't want them to screw up Israel and the United States. And, just like white liberals and black liberals, I don't dislike your communities or I don't hate women because I talk about women. I like women, so I don't want them to follow communist psychos who make them cut their hair and hate themselves. Like, and cutting your hair is fine. You get what I'm saying. It's a joke. I'm not apologizing. I'm just making it very clear why this makes sense. And I think it's very effective. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, I'm reading the comments. It's a lot of interesting stuff. There's levels to it, but Memphis Bear said, I just want a wall, to be honest. I feel you. Someone said, went on a Jesse Lee Peterson compilation binge last week. He's so funny. Beta. Jesse is hilarious. And one thing that's good about Jesse is he is like bold in his ways, but also he has discussions and debates. So it's like either you can agree with him a lot, or even if you disagree, he brings a lot of people on and like questions people. Jesse's great, man. I've been watching his videos a lot too. Someone said Jewish friends told me Jews vote Dem because they vote for the underdog and been convinced Dems are for the little guy. There's levels to it, but I asked Laura Loomer too because I did like a interview with her. Yeah, I mean the victim card, before black and LGBT and stuff, it's been a Jewish thing. I'm not saying always, but it's a victim thing. So it's like the victim mentality, the victim card, the little guy stuff. That's definitely an element of why people vote for the left. I think that plays a part. Thank you, Bear Arms. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm just trying to get better, get wiser. Someone said, someone said 50% of people are below average intelligence, maybe a bit higher in here. Maybe. I mean, we're definitely getting dumber, but that's why even for me, I don't blame, like, it's not even the media's fault. It's not the Jews' fault. It's not white people's fault. Honestly, if people are dumb enough to do this stuff, I don't blame them. Like, it's not Jews' fault. It's not white people's fault. It's not the media's fault. It's not like the corporation's fault. If we're dumb enough to buy it and we let it happen, I mean, it could be worse. That's all I'll say. Like our current society, it's at a threshold now, but it's not that bad, honestly. Like it could be a lot worse. So that's why I genuinely don't lead with hate. Like I'm not mad at anybody. I'm just like, can I talk about it? Are we in America? Am I allowed to discuss it, or am I only allowed to hate on white people? And I can't even you can't even compliment Jewish people sometimes. They're like getting Benjamins or all about the money. Like, how dare you? It's like that's a compliment. It's like a rap song. They're like, I'm getting money like I'm Trump. 20 rappers have said that it's no problem. If you say getting money like I'm Jewish, they freak out. It's like, can I speak? Am I because I'm not hating. I just want to have a conversation. It's a little annoying. But besides that, it's like, you know, do your thing. Like clearly a lot of people are not very intelligent and very bright. And if you are intelligent, bright, and you work hard and you gain the respect of others, you can pretty much do anything you want in this world. So it's like I'm not really mad at anyone. It's like real recognize real. Real transcend race, religion, and gender. And it's why, I've connected with a lot of people. It's funny, like the people that actually show me love are the people that everyone else considers crazy. Like, Roseanne has become a good friend, and her family, I like her son Jake's awesome. Roseanne's a friend of mine. Owen Benjamin has been amazing to me, and like all my people were like we're like the rejected people from every race, religion, and gender. You have like Owen, a white Christian. You have Roseanne, a Jew. I have a Muslim friend I had on who like the right wing doesn't show him love, but the left wing psycho, and he knows that. So it's like I got a little group of we're like all the rejected people who just keep it too real for America. Someone said cup of coffee, bud. Amazing. You or me? Yeah, you can get some coffee. I need to go to bed soon and then wake up and drink coffee. Someone said QAnon Bear said Jews and Asians control and encourage their children more than lazy Americans who like internet and TV. More responsibility. Changed my mind. No, you're a brilliant point. That's what I'm saying for sure. Like Jewish ideology and Jewish parents, they tell their kids like, "Yo, you're great. You're gonna be great." It's really smart. Like I have a Jewish friend who's like kind of like progressive and doesn't I guess he's not like proud of his Judaism or something, but he's like, dude, my parents like told me I was the best and stuff. I was like, dude, that's smart. Like that's a good parent. Like Jewish parents, they make sure their kids do well. It's really smart. Same with Asians. Like they're getting penalized now because they're really smart and they're really strong. You're right. That's why I'm not mad at Jews. Like I'm just like I get it. They actually make their kids smart and do well. And Asians make their kids smart and do well. There is, certain things annoy me as like speech laws and media and stuff, but like, no, I don't even disagree with that at all. And like, that's why you have to, it's not anyone's fault. Like if America became stupid and lazy and just pop pills and eat terrible food and watch TV, that's their own fault. Like you don't have to watch the television. You could turn it off. I don't watch TV ever. I own a TV to watch YouTube videos. I don't have cable. I hate television. Whose fault is that? It's not. I agree. Jews and Asians, they definitely raise their kids to be successful, and there's nothing wrong with that. Ace of Spades said, "Oh my God, all this Jews talk. There's some crazy Christian cults." Oh, for sure. I'm just. I mean, it's a conversation that a lot of people don't have, and it's becoming taboo. So it's fun. But yeah. I mean, the Catholic Church is insane, and honestly, it seems to have a lot of power. The Vatican and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of like, in my opinion, if you're godly and you preach the word of God, you can feel it and you can know it. There's a lot of people who hide behind, the Christian and Catholic religion and do evil things and, scam, have a lot of money. You'll see in my interview with Roseanne, she called out the, I guess no taxes on churches and stuff. Roseanne was like, they need to pay taxes or they need to clean up the streets. I was like, there's levels to that, but it's like, I mean, there's it's not there's a lot of things going on for sure. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about certain things. Someone said the Great Black Hope. Who's that? Jesse Lee Peterson? The Great Black Hope. He calls Trump the Great White Hope. It's pretty funny. Someone said God is great and people are crazy. So that's correct, Rabies Bear. Someone said TV is good for YouTube and maybe weather. Dude, television is awful. Like, just like the programming on television, it's really bad. And I'm not perfect. Trust me. I have things that I'm trying, like my schedule. I need to fine tune my schedule. I'm not completely right, and I'm not claiming to be. Like there's things that I'm like, all right, because every year I try to get better. I try to eat better. I try to get a schedule that's better. But like television is awful, and there's it's just bad. The commercials are awful. The shows are like it's all just like a trap. It's just like feel this way. Here's these products, dude. They're selling. This is a crazy part about YouTube. YouTube acts like they have the moral high ground. We don't want to advertise to them. We don't want to advertise to them. Dude, all my YouTube, it's like AIDS commercials and like Roundup. Like literally, that's like the two things I got. It's like disgusting. I'm just like, Roundup? Like they're getting sued and like you know what Roundup is, guys. I know you guys are woke. Go woke or go broke. Dude, YouTube, they're such scumbags. Honestly. It's like they're like, we can't have conservatives here. You're selling Roundup to me. They're so sick. Sorry, I don't want to get mad. It's okay. You don't have the moral high ground if you're selling Roundup and pills all the time. You see, my man. I think the inventor of television, Philo Farnsworth, wouldn't even let his kids watch television. Uh, Philo Farnsworth was a Mormon. I'm looking it up. Um, yeah, the inventor of television. Let's see. The inventor of television, Philo Farnsworth, he once said to his son, "There's nothing on it worthwhile, and we're not going to watch it in this household, and I don't want it in your intellectual diet." So he, the inventor of the television, told his son not to watch television. It's a bad thing. So I guess we can blame the Mormons now because they. I mean, I'm just kidding, but I guess he created TV. But I'm sure he didn't know. Like they probably. Dude, think about how happy they were when television came out. Like they could like everyone just sits and watches a screen in the entire country. They were like, "Oh, yes." They were just like, "We really got him now." All right. So it's the Mormons, yeah. I mean, it's all clockwork. It's just like I like to pry into certain things. Someone said I'm ready to see Project Veritas. Oh yeah, they said they got something. Someone said Mormons and Orthodox Jews do not watch TV. I didn't know that, but dude, very smart, honestly. Like, dude, TV is awful. I hate to be a hater, but like I don't like television. I don't like movies at all. Like I watch a movie and it's just like reeking with propaganda and like a drama. Drama is something I don't like. Like I don't like drama. I don't like fear. Why would I watch something that gave me that? Like I just can't stand it. It's so like even like war and stuff like these it's awful. I can't stand movies and television like at all. And that's weird because like everyone likes TV or movies. I know probably half the people here, if not more, just hate me. Someone said Chuck Schumer votes for abortion in America and against abortion in Israel. In other words, they vote left leaning in America and right in Israel. No, that's definitely a pattern. I don't know if that's true. I can't confirm it. I haven't looked it up, but yeah. 1,000%. No, they don't like that's what I'm saying. It's not all like I'm not saying all people, but a lot of these people they don't like America. They don't like Americans. Like they don't care about us. Like some of them think we're subhuman. They're just like, "Nah, like fuck them." It's a pattern. Someone said at least Mormons want their followers to be prepared. Dude, I might just move to Utah and be Mormon, honestly. I might just say whatever. Someone said, I grew up in a SoCal suburb near AFB. We were very cosmopolitan, and most of my friends were the few Jews, honest and hardworking people with 613 commandments. Literally, like, I don't know who's watching this now, but like, Jewish people are good people. Most Jewish people are great people. A lot of my friends are Jewish. They'll text me and be like, dude, I love what you're saying. I love it. I need to get out of California, or like, oh my God, this is awful. It's all good in the hood. It's goodness transcends race, religion, and gender. It's just like there's even I mean even in the Bible there's passages. It's not all he says something about the synagogue of Satan, and even in the Bible, Jewish people pretty much killed Jesus, right? I mean, it's not saying everyone's bad, but it's like there's certain people that are not great, and Jewish people are highly intelligent and highly successful. So uh, when they do stuff, they do it really good, and sometimes they do really bad. Um, I'll tell you what, I had a Jewish Israeli guy from Israel come up to me, and he recognized me. He's like, "Anomaly, I love your videos." He's like, I'm Israeli, like as Jewish as you can get." And he said he was conservative though, and he said at the end, he was like, "Anomaly, I want to tell you something." And he was just like, basically what he said. He's like, "Most Jewish people, most Israelis are great people," and I was like, "Yeah, I know for sure." But he was like, "But Anomaly," he was like, "The bad Jewish people are some of the worst people in the world." That's what he said to me. I didn't make this up. This is an Israeli Jewish guy. He said, "We're great people. Most of us are great people." But he's like, "The bad Jewish people are the worst people in the world." That's what he said, not me. Synagogue of Satan. I didn't say that. That's in the Bible. So it's like Jesus and Mary were Jews. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just, they're highly influential, highly, intelligent people on a whole. Someone said Satan's number one target, Jews. I don't know. I got to read the Bible more. I'm just saying this is what Jewish people are telling me. It's what Israelis are telling me. And also, I mean, you look at certain people in the world that are doing things on a big scale, from Soros and others, they're Jewish, like not everybody. There's also other bad entities like, the Catholic situation and Saudi Arabia. God knows what they're doing. But it's worth talking about. It's worth considering. And it's like, I mean, I know some of you guys know, but it's like weird where like I can criticize white people, no one says anything. And even when I talk, I don't criticize. Like literally, I've been like complimenting the whole time. But like anything that you're not allowed to talk about just gets highly suspicious. And it's like the way that right wingers are just like, don't say that. And I'm like, dude, you guys are so cucky. Like, it's just like, why? Like, it's not. And I get it though. A lot of people say it in bad ways. But like my thought process is, bad things happen when you don't address problems in every community, and bad things happen when you don't address problems in your country. So my thought process is like me saying this stuff is not me being mean or nasty or hateful. It's me being extremely kind and being like thoughtful and being like, listen, let's try to not do this or else it's not going to work out well for anybody. Billy Brightside. I don't know if you're talking to me, but I laughed at the comment. Reading the comments. Let's see. Um, Someone's quoting the Quran. Fighting is prescribed for you, and ye dislike it. But it's possible that ye dislike a thing which is good for you. Allah knoweth, and ye know not. I'm gonna read that again. Wait, it's part of the Quran. Fighting is prescribed for you, and ye dislike it. But it is possible that you dislike a thing which is good for you. Yeah, that's sketchy. Like they're like telling you, they're like, you're gonna fight and you don't like it, but you need to fight. Sounds like bad advice. I don't know. I'm not gonna throw dirt on it because I gotta read the book myself, but it's like maybe he went fighting in a good direction. I don't know. The more I look into it, I said it the other day, but I'll say it again. It seems like a trap. Like there's something, and I believe in God, and I'm not a hater, but it seems like a trap that you have one religion trying to fight. They're like, you got to fight, and you're not gonna like it, but that's what you got to do. And the other religions like losing the fight, and they're just like, we're gonna go to heaven. Like it's okay, we're gonna lose, but it's like we're gonna win in the end. And then like you have Jewish people who no one ever talks about. People have no idea what they believe. They never like everyone knows about the Quran. Everyone knows about the Bible. No one knows about the Torah or the Talmud. Like no one talks about it. No one knows about it. And they're, doing pretty well on a world scale, I would say now. I wouldn't say as far as history, there's awful things that happen in history, but like now it's hard for me to be like, it doesn't seem very oppressive. They're doing extremely well, although there's people battling. I get that. Seems like a trap to me, honestly. It's like, we're gonna fight and like it. People are like, we're gonna die and like it. And then it's like, we're just gonna chill here and watch you guys kill each other. Sounds like a trap to me, but I don't know. Someone said, pray for the women to have their babies. As long as they're good mothers, hopefully. Someone said there are 12 tribes of Israel. I'm sure there are. I mean, there's inner conflicts as well. Yeah. Someone said I live in a Jewish neighborhood. They're very unneighborly to non-Jews. They might not like you, my man. They might not like you. I can't speak for them specifically, but they might not. They might not be a big fan of you. Um, let's see. How about? I mean, I'm trying to read. See what we're talking about here. Someone said Tribe Called Quest. Facts. Good group. Although they've gotten a little cucky recently, their new stuff is like kind of annoying. It just annoys me when people do activism and it's like dumb activism, where like Tribe Called Quest are like, yeah. And it's like, dude, I get it, but I just like fake activism is so cringy to me. So I feel like they're kind of falling down that path. Someone said, Anomaly, what do you think about the polls that over half of Americans think we will see a civil war around 5 years? I think it's possible. Here's the thing. I like to be optimistic, so I think we can get over it. But that's why I'm saying this stuff now. Like that's why I'm having these tough conversations because like it will happen if people don't get their stuff together and if people don't deprogram and identify, situations that are not helpful to anyone. So I don't think it's gonna happen. I think we can get around it, but that's my like people really don't get it. But it's not gonna it's not gonna work out well if we continue down this path in media, in politics. So I think we'll be fine. I'm optimistic about it. But I mean, dude, how far is the left gonna go? How far is the media gonna go? I can't tell how far they're gonna go. But I'm doing my part to make it better. That's all I can do. Yeah, pray for the best, prepare for the worst. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Have a plan or at least an idea. And as it gets closer, probably have a plan. But overall, I would say we should be fine. Someone said early morning live stream. It's late for me. It might be early for you. Someone said, whoa, what if Anomaly did a cover of Amish Paradise? Living oh so right, living in an Amish paradise. What is that, Weird Al? It's funny. Have you seen the old photos of Spike Lee and Trump? Yeah, I've seen them. All right, I'm gonna take off in a second. Any last things? All right, we'll roll out. God bless you guys. God bless America. God bless your family, and God bless the world. Was a very rare talk tonight. We talked about Kim Jong Un and the moon, which is a funny title. I feel like it's like what? I'm gonna do a thumbnail of like Kim Jong Un dancing on the moon or something. It'd be funny. But yeah, some deep talk, some rare talk. God bless you guys. Have a good week, and focus on whatever it is. Your goals, your dreams, your ambitions. Keep it moving. Keep the ball rolling. Plant some seeds, and on the moon, like China, if you believe that that happened. And do your thing, have a good time, enjoy this world, because things will probably get better and worse in some ways. It might be a balance. Maybe eventually one side will win, but overall it could be worse. So I feel blessed, and I'm grateful, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'll try to get some work done, do some more videos. Thank you, Fontini. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jeremy. Shalom. God bless you, brother. God bless my Christian, Jewish, Muslim brothers of the world. We're gonna make Earth great again together. Okay, we're gonna hold all of ourselves accountable, and stop all this psychotic mental illness and pill popping. I don't know. That's a bad ending, but it could. Someone said, "What's your email?" It's on my website. Legendary.vision is my website. Swag. I'll see you guys.